Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Catching Zeez podcast, episode 17. We are getting closer and closer to episode 20, which is pretty cool, you know? A lot of episodes have been coming out with this podcast, and I'm glad we're keeping it consistent. Joining me today is, once again, my pals, Emmy and RaceCar627. Say hello, friends.
Hello. I'm back once again from the land of digital world, so... recently, I guess in our lives, if we want to have some sort of context, we actually all recently sort of saw each other, which for the first time in a long time, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's true.
That was pretty cool.
It was nice to see you guys again in person.
We'll get into it a little bit. At least what me and Emmy have a bit of a story to talk about in regard to that. But before we do that, I know that we kind of addressed topics that we wanted to go in order with. So,
right, yeah. So first up, we talk about YouTube. We always talk about YouTube on this podcast.
No way.
And yeah, bro, no way. Don't tell me. I'll talk about this release in the algorithm again.
I hate YouTube.
Dude, we hate YouTube.
You know what? I quit. I'm quitting today. As of today, I resign.
You resigned from YouTube.
Nah, but for real, I've actually been, I'm always thinking about YouTube. And like the past week and a half, I was talking about how I took like a break, and I'm like kind of back into it now. And now I'm just trying to have a lot more fun with YouTube as opposed to only thinking about the algorithm, because like the past, I think 3 to 4 months, I have just been like only thinking about the algorithm, and that's really it. But I kind of just forgot to have fun with it, I think, and now I've started to have more fun with it. A good example is the stupid character analysis videos that are like incorrect character analysis. Those I don't think are like really interesting for a viewer, but I have so much fun making them, just coming up with completely ludicrous and incorrect things, and it's so much fun. And I kind of just have been calling back on some of like the older inside jokes or just jokes I've made when I was younger. A good example is the Bartleby incorrect character analysis. For those, yeah, you guys know, because we used to be in a writing club in high school, and we had a bunch of like original characters, or we shoved like a bunch of characters that were like from IPs, and we shoved them into these presentations, and they're always really wacky and crazy.
Well, because we all took them in like random directions. There's like Gordon Ramsay.
Right, yeah. Yeah, no, there was just like so many characters, for, like real characters, cartoon characters, video game characters, just anything. We just shoved them in the presentation and just made them just as stupid as possible. And one of these characters was actually Bartleby from what's the story called again? It's like a short story. Do you know what it's called?
It is a short story. I honestly forgot what it was called. I'm gonna be honest.
I can't remember what it was called, but it was about this character who was like a writing assistant or something, and his name was Bartleby, and he would constantly say, "I prefer not to," when it comes to his job. And we just thought he was a really funny character, and we just kind of memed on him. So what I did was I literally was like, all right, I want to put Bartleby in these presentations as like a funny joke character. So I looked up sad anime.
I think I found it. It literally just is Bartleby the Scrivener. That's the name
Bartleby,
of the story.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Bartleby the Scrivener. That's the story. It's literally because we memed about it in English class. So then I went, I think it was like in a club meeting, so I went on MS Paint, and I was just like sad anime guy, because I just thought like Bartleby would be like a sad anime guy, and the first thing that came up was that character from My Hero, because it was like on school and I had like safe search, so it came up with him, and I was like, I didn't know who this was because I'd never seen the show, so I just stole his character design and was like, hey guys, this is Bartleby, and then we presented it. They're all like, that's the guy from My Hero, and I'm like, I don't know what you guys are talking about. That's
yeah. It did kind of look like Aizawa. I remember. Literally, he just drew a bootleg picture of Aizawa.
Literally,
from My Hero.
That's all I did, and I called him Bartleby. And that's why when I did the video, I was like, I'm just gonna call him Bartleby. Like that's the origin story of like the Bartleby thing. And I was just like, that was so fun on a personal level for me, just because I
just realized that it was Aizawa, even though I don't
right?
Watch. Oh my god,
so
I
funny
did not realize.
Like,
because he looks nothing like him in the presentation because he's so bootleg.
He looks, he's pretty accurate.
Exactly
I literally just stole his, I literally stole his character design. No, he looks a lot. He looks ugly.
Screenshot JPEG of him.
No, I'll show the image on right now. It definitely looks like him, like you can tell. I just stole his character design because I just looked up sad anime guy. I was like, whatever, it's Bartleby. And it was just so funny because so many people, mainly the little rookie, was just like, that's a character from My Hero because that's my favorite anime of all time. And I'm just sitting here like, nah, I don't know what you're talking about. That's Bartleby.
Yeah, Menu Skill Beginners was all like, yep, I know that character.
And it was just like, you know, from a personal level, I guess, making that video, just having that like background, it was like being like, haha, funny Bartleby moment. It was so much more fun as opposed to just like, you know, thinking about algorithm and whatnot. And people actually thought it was kind of funny. So I'm kind of just like thinking about, you know, only focusing like a little bit on the algorithm and just trying to have a little bit more fun with the things that I do, as opposed to just like constantly thinking about what is objectively good on YouTube. Because a lot of the time, if you're having fun creating something, it's probably going to turn out like good, or at least like arguably good. I've just been watching too much Mr. Beast content, who constantly wants things to be like objectively good. And, you know, content isn't really objective all the time. A lot of it is just subjective. And even if it stays like as a niche thing, I don't really care. I have so much fun with it. So I know I just kind of went on a rant there, but
no, yeah,
whatever.
I'm glad to hear. And something else that I've noticed is you're picking up a narrative here on this channel, at least for the spooky season. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah, that is right. I actually do want to talk about that a little bit more, but I want to wait because I kind of have like a little plan. I could maybe tell you guys after the podcast, but I do have like a little interesting, it's short, but it's a small little storyline I just want to tell.
When was the last time you did like a little narrative thing? I know you did like a holiday one, right? A long time ago.
That's
that was like so long ago. That was so long ago. I remember that.
I want to say that was 2020. It was on ZeezObG Gaming now.
Oh.
Yeah, Carbonated H, which turned into ZeezObG Gaming. I want to say it was from 2020, and that was the Christmas Comeback Crisis, where I honestly don't really remember the plot too much, but it was like...
I liked it, though. I liked it.
Yeah, it was kind of silly. It was basically just like, oh, Santa needs my help to save Christmas, and then I beat up a bad guy, and I saved Christmas, and that's all it was. It was just kind of silly, though.
ZVG classic, truly a ZVG classic. I watch it every Christmas.
Yeah, the family gathers around, the fire's going, we turn on the ZVG Christmas special.
Yeah, dude. No, I do. I have a thing for holiday specials. I think holiday specials are so fun.
All right,
I don't think other people do, but like I have such a soft spot in my heart for holiday specials, and I want to make more holiday specials just going forward.
What is your top holiday special of all time?
Like of something that I've made, or like just something that I've seen?
In general, I guess not something like in general.
Oh, you know, weirdly enough, there's this creator I watched called Chadtronic. He doesn't really upload as consistently anymore, but his Christmas videos like inspired me so much because he like usually like had a really cool narrative to go along with something. For example, one thing was that Santa gifted him a Teddy Ruxpin like Teddy one time, and then I think he tries to like throw it away into his basement, and then his basement has like a meme where it's like he keeps all like the dark stuff, you know, he keeps all like the evil things down there, and then it turns into like this giant bear and chases him around and tries to kill him. And it's just like stuff like that is so fun, where it's just like it's a holiday special, like the production quality is really good, and he adds like his own lore to it as well, and it's just like I don't know how well it is or how good it is for, you know, once again being like the whole objectively correct for a YouTube audience thing, but that kind of stuff just gets my blood pumping. I love that stuff, dude. So I would definitely say like a lot of the Chadtronic Christmas specials are just so good.
I can't say I've ever heard of Chadtronic. I was actually like more talking about like maybe like cartoons or other media-based Christmas specials, but that also totally applies.
I see what you mean. I thought we were talking about like, mainly YouTube thing. If it comes to, that's actually tough. None really come to mind off the top of my head.
Me neither.
But I know like if I sat down and thought about it for like a few minutes, I could. I
might throw
Christmas
some stuff special.
Up.
I don't know, like.
Okay, you know, those are classics. I'm trying to think of like more modern stuff, because like a lot of people would watch like Charlie Brown Christmas, The Grinch, Rudolph, you know, all those classic Christmas movies. But I'm talking more about like special.
Oh, like in
edition
like
things.
just modern cartoons, like where there's just like holiday specials.
I could just pull an easy one, just say Amphibias, because Amphibia has like a nice Christmas.
I was
special.
gonna point that one out.
That's
What
kind of a
happens in that
freebie.
one? I can't even remember.
Andreas takes over a giant Santa mech and attacks a town, and makes like a giant float.
Literally.
And makes like a giant float for her mother.
Seasons?
It was the finale of
It was in
season
the final
3A.
season.
Yeah, it was the finale of season 3A.
Oh yeah, it was the finale of season 3A. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I remember it very fondly because it was the episode that I watched, and I was like, what the heck? There's no more episodes after this? Because they hadn't come out with more yet. And I just thought that was... I don't know. I enjoy that Christmas special, but there's a lot more. I could probably put some up in editing that I really enjoy. I don't know. I think it's fun. It gives me a heartwarming feeling. This is my favorite time of year. October, November, December are like my 3 favorite months. I don't know. I love the vibes that I get around this time of year. I don't know really what it is. I know most people don't really like colder seasons, but I just have such a fondness in my heart for this
Zeez
time
just
of year.
really loves that pumpkin spice.
Oh, no, that's actually, like, kind of not true. There's nearly every poll I see, everyone bashes on summer, and I am an outspoken advocate for summer. Summer's the best. If there was ever, like, a season's war, I'd be on summer's war army.
No, I'm with Race Car on this one. Summer
thank
is
you.
the best.
Thank you, someone of culture. All right.
No, I think because what you're thinking is a lot of those polls are probably from a lot of introverted people, and introverted people probably don't like summer because they don't go out in summer.
No, like this is
Pretty
like
introverted, but I still like summer more.
I mean, I'm a fan of all seasons. I just like winter the best. It's just my favorite.
I'm a fan of all seasons. Come on. That's such a non-answer.
No, what? I was elaborating. I said I'm a fan of all seasons, but winter is my favorite, and spring is probably my least favorite season.
I feel like most people rate autumn number 1, and the reason being is because
I think a lot of people saying autumn.
Yeah, nearly everyone. Most people say autumn. So I mean, I guess so. My biggest thing that I don't. Well, first off, there's 2 big things about autumn I don't like. It gets colder, which cringe. I'm someone, okay, so like just straight from like an objective, like right away, I'm someone who doesn't get too hot very easily. I don't sweat a lot. So like obviously I live a different experience than a lot of people. I also much prefer the sensation of being warm or hot than being like cool or cold. Like being cold makes me stressed almost. Like I really don't enjoy it that much. I enjoy being somewhere that's warm. I enjoy stepping outside and feeling like almost like you're in like a slight sauna. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Oh, I hate that kind of stuff. I hate the humidity so much, man.
I don't hate humidity too much, although like I draw the line at like 85. Like after that, it gets a little bad. I'm not saying it's perfect, but overall, I much more enjoy summer weather. And the best thing is summer nights. But I'm also someone that is influenced like a lot by emotion in seasons. So historically, I've kind of suffered through seasonal depression, particularly in college. I think in winter, I keep myself preoccupied with a specific hobby a lot, so it's really easy for me not to be too sad. But for me, it's the lack of sunlight. It's the lack of life. Is a huge thing for me as well. I'm also a bit of a weather enthusiast. I might have talked about it on the show a bit. So I enjoy thunderstorms a lot. Here in the Midwest, we receive thunderstorms almost weekly in the summer, which is really nice. So there's just a lot of things that I enjoy about it. Also, being a roller coaster enthusiast, everything's open for long periods of time. You can go anywhere in the country, and the park's gonna be open midweek. Your local water park, your local amusement park, concerts, everything. There's so many things open. One big thing about fall I don't like, and I always are reminded of it when fall happens, is everyone gets really, really sick, and I'm always like dodging bullets of people getting like the flu and COVID and stuff. So
that's fair, yeah.
Everyone starts getting so sick, and being sick is just terrible. There's way less illness in general in the summer because people are outside so much. And in general, I tend to ask people too. It's like, well, I like winter a lot because I love the cozy. I like sitting inside. I like the holiday seasons. It's like, well, I feel like you should rank seasons personally on how like you interpret being in the weather of that season. Because a season is true, like, yeah, you kind of define it by the experiences you have with holidays and stuff. But isn't a season truly just the ranking of how you feel when you're outside and about, like what you're encouraged to be like? Like, I know like people who enjoy cooler weather would definitely rather be like out in a park all day in 80-degree weather than they probably would in 40, right? I mean, just, you know, Things to think about.
Yeah.
No, I get what you're arguing. Yeah, there's definitely a point to be made there.
I wonder.
I think. Go ahead, Emmy.
I wonder if it's any different for you mentioned the whole holiday thing. The seasons are flipped for people that live in the southern hemisphere. So you're in Australia or New Zealand, summer is when you would experience Christmas. So I wonder how that would change things.
Right.
It'd be incredibly based. I should just get a house in Australia and celebrate Christmas there.
When you do, I'll put your profile picture upside down for the rest of it. But no, I definitely get the whole. There's a lot to be argued with the season. I'm sure we could go on for a long time. I just think that winter definitely has a very unique beauty of just snow falling, snowflakes falling, snow wrestling on the trees or whatnot, and I do.
That's
love,
if you don't live in the city, though, Zeez.
I think. Well, yeah, I guess, but
not
you
really
can go
the
to a park
city.
or
It's
whatever.
if you went slightly south. That's
or even just to a park,
cold.
I suppose. But
even in the areas that get snow, in very where there's a lot of roads, the snow looks pretty for maybe an hour.
You gotta think about
and then
roads.
It becomes
I'm thinking
slush.
about. Yo, you guys are nitpicking. You're what about on a highway, where the wind the snow looks bad? Yeah, okay, on a highway, all you see are just weeds when it's the summer. You stop nitpicking,
it's the same
guys.
with
When you go to a park
sidewalks.
in the summer, it's pretty. When you go to a park in the fall, it's pretty. When you go to the park in the winter, it's pretty. They're all uniquely pretty because parks are pretty. I don't know. Sorry.
I agree they're all uniquely pretty, but I love the look of snow. It just doesn't happen enough. I guess where I'm at. Per se.
Well, snow is a very ephemeral thing. It looks white only very momentarily, and then it gets contaminated by dirt, slush, salt, a lot of other things.
You are nitpicking. You know what? We're moving on. I'm not going to get into this.
That is a true statement. My entire experience with snow is just it becoming nasty and gray.
No. Shut up.
I can't believe I'm having this ranking debate with you. I've been very opinionated about seasons forever.
We've talked about this off podcast. I know we have, just not on the podcast. And now it's getting a little heated.
For the last several years, I've analyzed how I interpret each season, and I have a good, distinct ranking of them and reasons why they're on each position. But it's okay. We'll talk about this later.
No, yeah, I think okay. You know what? One thing I do appreciate is that people actually have differing opinions. Not everybody's just objectively this one's the best or this one's the best. I like that people enjoy different things.
You guys can be wrong. It's fine.
Shut up!
I agree with you though.
I'm joking, guys.
So if I'm wrong, you're wrong.
No, I would hate it if I'm in Florida or the South where it's just hot and muggy and terrible. Or,
Listen, I wish the little rookie was on this podcast. I know he'd back me up. I know he'd be on Team Winter.
I mean, I live in the Pacific Northwest, so from I think now to spring, it all just kind of blends together. We have seasons. Summer exists. Spring and fall sort of exist. Winter doesn't really exist. I mean, if you only want 3 seasons, come here.
No,
we only have 3. Or possibly
I
only
like
2.
Variety good, guys. Even though I sit inside all the time, but I take walks. I take a walk every day. So, shut up. You know what? Shut up.
All right, actually, fall does exist here. I'm not sure if winter exists.
We got to move on. We have to move on. We've been talking about this for way too long.
Okay.
Some other time. Maybe when it's actually in the winter, where I could defend it. It'd be look outside, bro. All right.
I would look outside and there'd be no snow.
Shut up. Anyway, we were talking about YouTube, then we just dived into this. But I wanted to kind of quickly, just quickly kind of recap or recall. I'm looking for a word. I can't figure it out though. But I want to talk about the secret channel real quick,
the secret,
which is not really much of a secret anymore. So I talked about the secret 9th channel. Of
Which
Zeez
blew my
5G.
mind, by the way. I couldn't believe there was a channel I didn't know about. It actually drove me crazy. I was sitting there, actually, going insane.
No, I didn't want to tell anybody because I wanted to grow it organically, and I only started it 2.5 weeks ago, so it's still very, very new.
I think it's growing pretty fast for only being 2.5 weeks old.
It has. It
grown
has.
really
it
fast
definitely
in the
has.
last 24 hours.
But I want to kind of I put out a statement a while ago saying if I only focused on a singular topic or a singular game, I know that I could like do pretty well on YouTube, since that's kind of how like the algorithm and stuff works, where if you focus on like one thing, you know, you're going to draw the attention of people who play that one thing. And if you branch out, obviously, like, you're going to get less viewers. But if you focus on a single thing, people are going to stay. And the secret channel, I was actually just like kind of playing around. I was like, you know what? I really like this Identity 5 game. I've really been getting hooked on it recently. Let's dedicate a channel to it and tell nobody, because I want to grow it organically. The only announcement I made, because I wanted to, you know, for people who are like really diehard fans, I did make one small announcement in the Discord. And I didn't really use any ping. I just said, hey guys, here's an Identity 5 channel that I'm planning on like growing. I want to grow it organically, so this is the only announcement I will make on it. And I only got 2 subscribers from that announcement. So the rest of the subscribers currently, which I'm sitting at 508 subscribers on that channel right now. To put into perspective, I released a 100 subscriber special just yesterday. So it grew 400 subscribers. Ago? What specifically?
I think it was 22 hours ago.
20, yeah, it was around a day ago at this point. So I've gained, 400 more subscribers in like 24 hours. So that is, that's crazy pretty growth. Good. That's pretty good, honestly. Weirdly enough, if I look at my analytics, the analytics that I have in the last 48 hours is about, just a little under a Zeez G2 analytics, how they're sitting like around right now. Because I get about, I want to say like 12,000, 11,000 views every 48 hours on Zeez G2. And right now, I'm sitting at like 9,500 views in the last 48 hours from this channel, which I find to be very interesting. Yeah, I just thought that was like pretty unique, because I had mentioned before, like, I know I could grow a channel if I dedicated like myself to one thing. And I feel like Identity 5 is unique in that aspect, because as opposed to like the dedicated channels to Fire Emblem and Pokemon, those are series. They have lots of different variety and stuff, but Identity 5 is one game, and there are constant updates coming out for the game. I know you compared it to Fortnite when I saw you in person the other day. I wouldn't call it like Fortnite, but it does have elements that are similar, right? And with these constant updates, it means that there's always new content for the game. There's always new stuff to talk about. So it doesn't feel stale, I guess you could say. Whereas like some other games that I could play, like if I play an old Fire Emblem game or an old Pokemon game, it could feel stale. Especially some of the, one thing that I've noticed is Fire Emblem Engage, which came out this January. It kind of just came and went. Like, people thought it was good, but nothing like too crazy. So if you were to make a video on Fire Emblem Engage now, despite it only being like 10 months old, it would tank in views, because nobody really cares, which is kind of sad. I shouldn't say nobody cares, but it's like, as opposed to the game that released like 4 years prior, Three Houses, that game is far more popular. So talking about that game, even till now, is probably more popular than that one. So it just depends on the game. But as opposed to this channel, which is just one game, it's very unique, I feel like.
Yeah, I totally agree. So I was talking to you a little bit about it before the show. So after I found out about that secret channel, I subscribed to it, right? And I don't really play Identity 5. So I watched like one video of yours when it came out. I noticed recently, again, like within the last like 24, 48 hours, that I started getting like pushed a lot, like at the top of my feed. So I started clicking on your channel more, and I've been noticing again that massive explosion in trend there. So I kind of wanted to talk about a little bit. Let's say that if you did switch your future of your content, or you as an online creator, to be more of a Identity 5 YouTuber instead of, let's say, Miraculous Ladybug, which is what your plan was before.
It still is. Don't worry. I'm not. This is, again, it's one of 9 channels. You can say I'm spreading myself too thin, but I have literally been like firing on all cylinders the last few days, and I've been feeling really good. And I don't even think I'm behind on any videos in particular. But I see where you're coming from. So continue.
You uploaded like 4 videos on that channel like in 24 hours. Something I looked into though, so I noticed again that you're exploding there. So I looked into it. It's like, well, are you going to explode as much as you did for the Owl House and Amphibia? And that's probably like the one limitation. And we just talked about it earlier. You said short. It has kind of a short ceiling, and I agree. So currently, like if I look, what I did is I looked at the tags that you were putting on your video, and the most views that people with that tag were getting were about 30 to 40K. I then also looked at Identity 5, just run regular YouTube search, and I went by like view count, and I scrolled down to the point where I got to sort of individual creators, and the only videos that were getting about 100K views, again, were about tips and tricks videos, or tutorials, like you were saying.
Right.
So
yeah, tutorials. I think updates on the game tend to get like pretty good short-term views. But tutorials are definitely like really, really good for long-term growth. There's quite a few like meme videos or like meme compilations that actually do pretty well in that type of content, which is interesting. But like, yeah, it definitely has like a small scene. Like I'd say a lot of the bigger creators that I just kind of skim through and watch, a lot of their videos will only get like 2K to like 5K. But that's like 2K on a video, and
You're
they release
pretty much already there.
Well, I should say that necessarily, but like, you know, we're
Pretty
getting
close.
Yeah, you're going to be one of the big ones.
I just find it quite unique that it's like, well, I'm thinking like 2K to 5K. That's anywhere between $8 and like $20 per video. And if they're releasing that like every single day, that's just like $5 a day. And then also think about like legacy views, you know, that's like 5 times 30, however much that is, $150. That's like $150 a month. You know, doing Identity 5 content, that's not bad. You know, as opposed to like my gaming channel that only makes like $15 a month.
Yeah, but, I mean, it's definitely a step up.
Yeah, and then that's also just for like, you know, around that type of view. Like if I ever had like a video that gets more views or less views, you know, it could go up and down. But
let's say you were able to hit regularly 10K views per video. I mean, and you're uploading it. It seems like you're doing. What if you did one every day? Or you're getting about that much?
That would be like 10K. 10K is around $30.
Okay.
So if you got 10K views a day, that would be 30 times 30. That would be $900.
Are you getting more money off? Would you get more money off these videos? Because the ones that you're uploading right now are about 20 minutes longish.
Yeah, because they would be anything over 8 minutes gets more monetary, and anything under 8 minutes like has horrible ad revenue. Anything over 8 minutes has like pretty solid. I'm basing all these stats off of all 8 minutes and longer, which most of the videos on that channel are.
Right. It just seems like it's generally because those matches are pretty long, and you put multiple matches in one video.
Yeah, I think each match averages around like 5 to 7 minutes. That's usually how the pacing of it goes. But something I find a little bit odd, honestly, is I've been getting a lot of comments of people being like, hey, this is so cool that you're doing this, because nobody else plays the game like with like live commentary. A lot of the time it's just gameplay, or it's like post commentary, or it's like text to speech. And I find that to be really weird, because in the gaming sphere of like Smash Bros, so many people make videos where they're just like playing the game like live, and then they just like, you know, edit it into a video, kind of like what I'm doing.
That's like every video game.
Yeah, right. And it's just like I weirdly think that Identity 5 just doesn't really have that, or at least like it doesn't have it to the point where it's like completely oversaturated. So people think it's like, oh, this is very unique compared to other Identity 5 content. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm just like playing the game. But I don't know. They just said it was like somewhat unique compared to other content, which I just found to be a little bit weird. So yeah, I'm just kind of keeping up what I think is interesting. I released like a cringe ads video just like a couple hours ago, where I look at like some really, really cringe ads, because it's a mobile game, and I think like they're mainly made in like China, so they're gonna have like cringe ads. There's like 120 ads that they've made, and there's some really cringe ones in there. But it was pretty fun to just look at stuff like that, and I just really appreciate how much content there is around the game, because it just makes it so much easier to create content. You know, the cycle of content. If there's content for something you're interested in, the content that you can produce is also, you know, upped, you could say.
Would you say the fandom's growing for Identity 5?
I don't know. I'm still relatively new. I've only played the game for like 2-ish months, so I can't really say. They claim to have 300 million players worldwide, which is pretty solid, but that also doesn't include like people who join and then instantly leave, people who like make a bunch of alt accounts and then just abandon them. So I really don't know how many players there actually are, but I'd say, you know, it's like, it's a niche. It's just a niche at the end of the day, I think, and it's a fun one. But like I said, you know, I've been focusing more on just like having fun as opposed to only thinking about like objectively correct YouTube stuff.
Yeah, when I looked into the view count thing, a lot of the most viewed videos for Identity 5 promo stuff was like 3 years ago. I was like, oh, I thought this was like a brand new game.
It came out in 2018, but again, it's just constantly releasing new content and new updates, so that if you want to like compare it to Fortnite in that aspect, yeah, it does, because it has like the paid skins, the gacha. It's like a gacha game. It has like gacha elements, but like, not if you don't focus like too hard on that stuff. Like the game itself is just fun, and there's plenty of free stuff that you can get. Kind of like, you know, again, like Fortnite or whatever. You know, it's just a good time. I think if you play it in the way that you can enjoy it and you don't like, you know, spend all your money on it, I think it's a fun time. And it also has a really interesting and engaging competitive, I guess like group or whatever. It's really fun to watch competitive and top level matches.
So I know you kind of said that you weren't moving away from this. What is the timeline on other Zeez projects outside of Identity 5 right now?
Yeah, I do want to, you know, keep working on the Miraculous video. That is just like gonna be an ongoing one. I plan to release that in December though, because it's like a big one. It's a very big video. But I actually have just like some smaller videos planned for Zeez of 2, just like talking about like a very specific cartoon. Like I had that Big City Greens video that came out like a couple days ago.
Yeah, did that do
I think I want to make a short video. It did fine. You know, it's nothing too crazy. It got like, I think 13K views, which is like fine. It could be better, but it also could be worse. So I can't complain. It's honestly just like pretty middle of the line. But I just want to like make more short little content like that as I'm working on like the bigger one. And I have a few more incorrect character analysis videos coming for Zeez of 3. There should be one coming out tomorrow that I already recorded. It will be on a character from Jujutsu Kaisen, which I also haven't seen. So
I think that's like a requirement of this series, is that you can't see the actual show.
Yeah, I haven't seen Fairy Tail. I haven't seen My Hero. Haven't seen Jujutsu Kaisen. Because like somebody requested like I do like Chopper from One Piece. I was like, I would love to, but I've already seen the show, and it's like it wouldn't be as funny if I haven't seen the show. Because that's the whole point. Is like it's completely incorrect. I'm just making up everything.
You have to invite a guest on for the shows you've already seen. That would be kind of fun.
Yeah, what do you think about Chopper from One Piece, guys? Yeah, I know neither of you have seen One Piece.
I've never seen One Piece or this character, so I'm perfect for the job, Zeez. If you need me for a video,
I actually know what Chopper looks like, so I'm going to pretend like I don't. So if I would imagine someone in a Chopper, it's someone with really big teeth, okay? And he's just really chopping away. He's grinding away at some, like, vegetable.
Some vegetable? Is it celery? Your least favorite vegetable?
Oh, gross. No, it's not celery.
Celery's not even that bad. Hold on. It's funny you say that because literally in the arc that Chopper joined, there is a guy who has like munching powers, and he has like really big teeth, and he like eats stuff. It's really funny that you say that. I don't know why.
Exactly. I just
people watch One Piece will know. His name is Wapple. He's funny. Anyway.
Yeah. No, Chopper has to have really big teeth. Either that or he's an actual helicopter.
Eat the helicopter.
He probably also eats pencils and parts of the boat, and they'd keep yelling at him like, "Chopper, stop eating the boat!" I'm sorry, I can't stop chopping at things, man. I'm Chopper. That's Chopper.
Wow, that was a pretty good character notes. All right, your turn, Emmy. What do you think about Chopper from One Piece?
Kind of sounds like a chef, you know. Like I imagine him with like these giant like cleavers, and he's like really good at cooking. I have no idea what he looks like. I don't know what
you're
describing Sanji right now. You're describing Sanji.
Like Barry the Chopper from Full Metal Alchemist.
No, but he's an actual chef.
Yeah, Barry the Chopper was an actual chef.
They already have a chef on the Straw Hat Party.
Wait, Barry was a chef? I didn't even know that. Maybe.
Yeah, it's like it's from the original FMA, and I guess he was like a.
That was
like
just
a meat guy. He was like a meat guy. But,
I thought it was just a meat guy.
Butcher.
Like a butcher. Like
yeah,
he wasn't like
he was a butcher, but he still was
chef.
a cook. I mean, butchers don't like cook meat. That's like part of their job.
No, they don't.
Yeah, they do. They prepare like smoked meats and stuff. That's like part of a butcher's job, right? They season it.
Well, they just cut it up. They don't cook it, do they?
Most butchers have prep processes for some of their meats.
That's true. I think some of them have like
we're
sausage.
putting labels on butchers. What if butchers just want to do their own thing? Maybe butchers do different jobs. Maybe some go the full mile. Maybe some don't.
Yeah, you're right, Zeez. You're right. Well, anyways, maybe he trained under Gordon Ramsay.
That was just an excuse
something.
for not being educated on the job, and you just said I was right.
Maybe he trained under Gordon Ramsay or something, and now he's like a legendary chef or something. I have no idea.
He's this really old guy that no one knows about, but he actually was Gordon Ramsay's teacher. Okay.
Oh yeah. You're right. He actually was
You're
Gordon
just
Ramsay's
describing
teacher.
Red Leg Zeph.
But
You
he's
guys are
like
just
really humble.
describing
He's
Red
like,
Leg Zeph.
I'm just some old guy. Like no one ever knows.
That's Zeph.
All of a sudden, like
That's
Gordon gets
Zeph.
on the ship and everyone's like, Gordon, oh my God, it's Gordon Ramsay. And then Gordon looks over. He's like, oh, master. Oh my gosh, it's so nice. Like he like, immediately bows down as like humble. Everyone's like, what? The old guy is the master? Yeah, there you go. It's the big reveal.
Gordon Ramsay, the anime.
Gordon
Guys,
Ramsay.
everything you're talking about are like pre-existing characters in One Piece, but One Piece also has over 1,000 characters, so it's going to be an easy comparison for anything. You can literally talk about any character, and there'd probably be a One Piece character that's pretty close to it.
Is there a character that just really likes eating potatoes?
There is a character that looks like a potato.
Okay, close enough.
All right, did we want to talk about the freaking Circus digital funny moment?
Yeah. So talking on to YouTube trends, something that I also have been absolutely, utterly bombarded with, it was the amazing digital circus. For people who don't know, it's the newest pilot from Glitch Studios, who is the creator of Murder Drones. Basically, I never watched anything from Murder Drones at all ever. But I I clicked on one clip for the amazing digital circus, and my feed was just nonstop like it was what was crazy about it is I saw that the pilot had like 4 million views. Then there was like compilation videos with over 1 million views. Like 1/4, like a quarter of the people who watched the pilot went on to like watch fan videos of it. Like, so I'm like, oh my gosh, this like viewer retention and like obsession is crazy. And of course, because it's so like hot and YouTube is pushing it so hard, I kept like being pushed so hard for it. So I sat down and actually watched it. And yeah, I mean, I don't really have like a ton of huge thoughts on it. But I will say that, yeah, it's a really great show. The aesthetic's fantastic. The artists behind, like, it makes me want to watch Murder Drones, because I thought, like, honestly, like, to be completely honest with you, I just kind of thought of it as a, when I saw, like, Murder Drone stuff, I just kind of thought of it as a, I shouldn't say cringy, but
like some random web show?
Yeah, some random web show that's, like, popular kids, like a Poppy Playtime sort of thing. Like
yeah. I know what you mean. That's kind of the vibes I picked up, like the indie horror kind of stuff.
Yeah,
it kind of like falls into that indie horror, like niche of like, the kids like super love it, and it just like explodes in popularity, like Five Nights at Freddy's, Poppy Playtime. I know exactly what you mean. That's kind of where like I feel like this circus thing, like I feel like they have like a very similar audience.
It does, and it is sort of that. It is sort of like it has a little bit of like that slight horror aspect to it, but it has a fantastic aesthetic to go with it. So essentially, like the story kind of goes. I mean, there's not really much. It's just a pilot. So I mean, it's essentially an isekai, right? This girl wore a virtual headset and got transported to this digital world. The cool thing about
Corito the Dorito?
Yes, like Corito, it literally exactly like Corito the Dorito, and she can't pull up.
What is Corito the Dorito?
From Sword Art Land.
What?
From Sword Land to Online.
I did not realize the way you pronounced that. Never mind. I feel so foolish now. Please
Corito
continue.
the Dorito.
Yeah, so just like Corito the Dorito, and unlike Corito the Dorito, this actually, like, I think the appeal of it, at least to me, isn't necessarily like the concept of the whole like, oh, it's the VR headset won't cut off, because it's something that's been tried out in anime a million times and other things. What I like a lot about it is, I mean, just the what they're able to do with the 3D art and realm, and like sort of like that like amateurish digital landscape, but it's also not very amateurish. I mean, there's so many scenes that are so impressively animated in that. It just was like, holy crap, there's so much raw talent on display.
Would you recommend that like as something that I should check out and maybe like talk about?
I actually literally do. I think it'd be a great Zeez G2 video, and I think you'll actually find some good things to say about it.
All right. I'll maybe give it a try then.
I definitely think I don't think the writing's gonna be too crazy, unique, or different. It has a really strong Has-Been Hotel vibe too, or like, what is the other one I'm blanking on? Not Has-Been Hotel.
The freaking Hell of a Boss.
Hell of a Boss, right? It has a very similar like sort of vibe to that. One of the characters, like this bunny character, is exactly like a demon in those shows. Kind of like some of the the characters are so over the top and like animated, kind of like in those series too, and it's sort of in like a pseudo hyper stylized and hyper violent world. I wouldn't say it's like as hyper violent as those two, but it certainly is. It has a lot of action and like sort of violence to it, but it's not gory unlike those two shows. 'Cause it's not like that's not like the aesthetic, I suppose.
Right.
But yeah, no, I'd recommend it. It's pretty cool. There's like it adds some interesting little concepts of like corruption of like their characters. They go insane, and it definitely alludes to a lot of ways that the show can move going forward. I think of all the many things, kind of like when we talked about with like Skibidi Toilet, I would say that this is sort of like a based like newer generation sort of trend. I think that especially what the show means for online animation is like incredible. I think it was incredible with Helva Boss, and it was incredible with Has Been Hotel, and really I guess Murder Drones too. And now this, I mean, just to see that these are like really high quality productions being run exclusively really through YouTube. Has Been Hotel, not Has Been Hotel anymore. That's now a Amazon show, right? But yeah, it's just it's crazy to see that happen, and the fact that this is CG instead of hand drawn, and kind of how good the CG is too. Some of the shots look like they're coming straight off like a video game cutscene that was like took forever to render. Like really nice looking video game cutscenes.
Yeah. It really, weirdly enough, it reminded me of like old PS2 cutscenes, but if they looked better. I don't know how to describe
absolutely.
That, but it had like that weird like aesthetic of like old like PS2 or like maybe like PS2 stuff, like GameCube stuff that just like looked. They look like kind of ugly, but it's just like, imagine the renders actually looking a little bit better, and it kind of has that same weird vibe to it, where everything has like, I shouldn't say it has like a weird shadow to it, but I don't know. It just gives me that vibe, I guess.
Yeah, if you made this again, a Zeez G2 video, it would be really well as well, because it's definitely like every video being talked about is blowing up, so
okay.
Jump on it, it's 4 days old, the trend's gonna end soon. Go.
You're right.
Probably on the YouTube grind.
You know how it is. I'll give it a try. I honestly was probably gonna watch it anyway because it's been literally everywhere. So I was like, yeah,
I know. That's why I ended up watching it, because it's been everywhere.
Right.
But yeah, that's really all I have to say about it.
Okay. Well, yeah, I'll definitely have to give that a try. Keep your eyes out for a potential Zeez D2 video on that, everybody. We'll have to see. But as for our next topic. We have a coaster trip. You guys took a little coaster trip to Six Flags. Tell me about that.
Yeah, that's true.
I'll try to be as quiet as possible, and we'll hear it mostly from Emmy's perspective.
Okay. Yeah, because it's not to like steal your thunder or anything, but you've never been on a roller coaster before.
I mean, I have.
Like,
I've been on
right?
kiddie coaster, but not like real roller coasters. No.
Okay, you've been on so you've been on like the dinky little kiddie ones, but not like a real coaster, a real Slippin' Jimmy.
Well, yeah. So as we all know, RaceCar627 is a big coaster enthusiast. What was that name?
I hate roller coasters. They suck.
Yeah, no. You remember he doesn't like roller coasters.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, never mind. He took me there begrudgingly. He didn't really. He wasn't the one that suggested it or anything.
It's like the parent that's like really mad at like the kid just won't shut up about going. I'm just like dragging you through the park. Like, all right.
Yeah.
No. I was just like, no, I'm not taking you here because I like it. No. Clearly likes it. I'm joking. But yeah, I was Well, so as you all know, we met up like over the weekend for an event, and right after RaceCar was like, hey, why don't you go to Six Flags with me since you've never been on a coaster? I was like, I don't know. I guess I've never been on one before. Might as well experience it once in my life.
No, one of the big reasons why I push for this is because you set your flight schedule, and I'm like, you're literally going to be in town for like 10 hours. Like I haven't seen you in years, and you're being in town for 10 hours.
Had any
That's stupid.
plans.
We're doing something else.
Well, yeah, I had enough time in my flight schedule, so the way that it worked was I couldn't return back the same evening because there wasn't enough time to get back to the airport. So I had to wait until the next day, and at that point, I might as well just push the flight back till the end of the day, and we could just spend the day doing something else. So we decided to go to Six Flags, which was nearby. Essentially, we just kind of drove out there. It was like a few hour drive. It was fine. It was nice, relaxed drive. I was like really nervous at first because I have like a huge fear of heights, and like just dropping like so much from a roller coaster like actually kind of frightened me. I was just like, I don't know. And also I'm really prone to motion sickness. But RaceCar mentioned there's this thing that you can take called Dramamine, which actually makes it so you don't get motion sickness. Yeah, so I took one, and
were you supposed to take two?
I think it helped.
Yeah.
That's a great question, actually. Let me check right now. I still have the bottle in my bag.
When I went to Disney World, my friend took one usually, like every was 4 or 8 hours. I can't remember. But I do remember there's like stuff to help with motion sickness, yeah. Just as you're looking for that, Emmy, just a quick aside. I also have a fear of heights, but weirdly enough, I've never been afraid of roller coasters. I maybe got like a little bit of a butterfly feeling, but I've never been like the fear of heights versus like when you're up high on a roller coaster. It's never like matched up, and it's very weird. I don't know why.
As a quick aside as well, we went to Six Flags Great America for viewers who might be familiar with that park. This is north of Chicago there. So just because people say Six Flags, it's like, oh, you went to Six Flags over Georgia. Oh my goodness, I like people who aren't like coaster enthusiasts don't realize there's like 13 properties across the country, right? So just to specify which one.
Well, so I'm looking at the bottle. It apparently doesn't say. It says take 1 dose. It says see the carton for more information. Unfortunately, I threw away the carton.
It's probably a 1 every 8 hours then, or something. Usually lots of those things.
Well, it was definitely like less than 8 hours. I'm going to continue the story.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
I'm trying to remember with the rides that we did ride. I remember we rode Raging Bull, Goliath, Batman. Was there one?
So the first, I could talk in full detail here. We entered first off, we were supposed to be there at park opening, but because of ramen adventures and taking definitely more than 30 minutes to prepare it.
That sounds like such an Emmy thing. That sounds like I literally knew that was gonna happen, dude. That sounds like such an Emmy thing.
Oh my goodness. The night before, she's like, it'll take an hour to prepare. We're up till like 1:40 in the morning prepping the broth and everything.
Literally anytime Emmy says anything, add like an hour onto that.
Oh my god,
this will take 10 minutes.
Not that
add an hour.
You literally said it was going to take 30 minutes in the morning for us to get the ramen ready to eat. It took us
okay, that was based on my estimates at home, okay? I was working outside of home. At home, I totally could have done it in 30 minutes. In fact, I've done it in 30 minutes in front of you guys right before the podcast or right after. I could do it right now in 30 minutes. I dare you time me right now. I'm going to make that wrong.
I'm not going to do that. One day, though, I'll have to see it with my own eyes.
Ramen speedrun.
Yeah, so we kind of got thrown off our original plan because we were supposed to be there at Rope Drop. My goal actually, like, I knew that Emmy kind of had an apprehension of heights, so went over to Viper, which is the wooden coaster in the western section of the park, and it's next to Raging Bull. That was closed at the moment, so I was like, oh, great, having a Six Flags day already. So went over to Raging Bull. Was
Wait,
also
you want to explain
down.
what that means?
Yeah, so Six Flags has a whole marketing scheme called have a Six Flags day, right? Is like pushed in. It's like one of their marketing terms. Six Flags is typically seen as the budget chain. Great America historically is one of the better run Six Flags parks, actually. But a lot of their parks are not the best ran. Oftentimes have a lot of downtime issues or poor capacity. That kind of leads to people not having the best time. So whenever you're not having a good time at Six Flags, you're having a Six Flags day. Or really any park. It's sort of a coaster enthusiast term.
Wasn't there a special name you guys called yourself? It wasn't like coaster enthusiast. It was like something else. I forget.
Oh yeah,
Thuzies.
We call it. We make fun of it because it was like originally like a derogatory term to like make fun of people, but now everyone just calls themselves it. It's Thuzy.
Thuzy. Oh yeah, it's a Thuzy.
Yeah, Thuzy.
That was a fun name. Okay, continue.
Yeah, so eventually we did work our way over to X-Flight as the first coaster. X-Flight is a B&M wing coaster. I thought it was a pretty good starter coaster because it introduces you to inversions. I don't think X-Flight's overly intense personally, especially in the morning, so it was running kind of slow. It introduces you to inversions. It's not ridiculously tall, but you know, like if you're not used to big coasters, it certainly is a step up. So yeah,
it was certainly a step up. That was a pretty big step for me.
Right.
Honestly, like, the inversions weren't the part that, like, made me the most nervous. I actually like the inversions the most. It was, like, the airtime. That was always what made me nervous, because I used to have all these dreams where I would just be, like, falling. And it would be, like, they would be more like nightmares, actually. And they kind of felt like that. And I was just...
Yes.
I got, like... that kind of triggered that, and I was just like, oh no, I'm falling, and I got really nervous during those moments. But overall, I think I enjoyed the first one. It was a nice thrill.
Yeah, we sat in the front right side, and I know you particularly liked the inline twist at the end through the control tower.
Yeah, that was great. That was great. I love that.
What's interesting though is that it has like 2 moments of hang time, which is kind of like air time because you're getting pulled out of your seat. Remember how I said I wasn't going to talk very much? Anyways.
No, I mean, you're providing context. I'm providing like my experience, and then you're like providing your like doozy context.
On the other side, people always talk about this like game stuff. You always have one commentator that's like the hype man, then you have the commentator that's like the analytical man. That's
Am I the hype man right now?
You're the hype man, and Race Car's the analytical one. Now.
So I guess I'll jump in. I thought it was interesting that you typically you didn't mind the wing overdrop and you didn't mind the inline twist, which again, it's sort of the same sensation as airtime because you're being pulled out of your seat, but you didn't really find it to be that scary.
Well, because airtime, like you're like actually like feeling like you're weightless and you're like flying and falling. The other things you're just being flung out.
Isn't exactly airtime. Yeah, I don't know. We'll jump into the next coaster then, because after X Flight we went over to American Eagle. It was the second to back row, is the middle car, so the non-wheel seat of the 3-row car. So if we talk about American Eagle.
Honestly, that was probably the more forgettable one. I remember having to no, that wasn't the one that we had to wait a long time for. That was Goliath, right?
Yes. Yeah. Well, we waited a while for Batman as well, but we'll get into that.
Well, yeah. But no, I honestly thought American Eagle was probably the more forgettable one. Like, it had that big twist and helix, but that was kind of boring. Honestly, it was just like kind of like a more like compared to like the first ride. Obviously, it wasn't as memorable as the first ride because it was my first ride, but honestly, there really just wasn't a whole lot to remember about American Eagle. I just found it very forgettable. I don't remember that much about it.
That's not an uncommon take. It's not very popular of a ride. It's historically relevant for being Intamin's first large coaster that they ever produced.
Yeah.
It's way more fun if they actually ever had it racing, but because having a Six Flags Day is a thing, they haven't had it racing, I don't think, in years. So, for context, Zeez, it's very similar to Gemini at Cedar Point, which is a racing coaster, a racer at Kings Island, or other racing types of rides. So this is a wooden coaster one, right? What you're talking about with the turnaround at the end, that it's really weird. Isn't it? The big helix going downward.
Yeah, the big helix. I don't know what they were thinking about with that. It just seems so
wasting energy and track, and I don't know. It does make it unique though in its own right. But yeah, it's a fairly forgettable ride. After that, we went on Goliath.
Okay, Goliath. I was like, honestly, I was gonna back out of at first because I saw like the huge drop, and I was just like this is literally the stuff of my nightmares. I was just like, no, I'm not gonna do this. Or I don't know if I want to do this. And I was like, no, I'm already here. I might as well try it. And then like RaceCar told me it's only 30 seconds long. And I was like, he's right. It's like that. It's like that thing like psychologists, like when you're like experiencing like high energy stuff, it feels longer. Like honestly, like all those experiences compounded yesterday made yesterday feel like honestly like 5 days long. I'm gonna be honest with you. But yeah, I was gonna back out at first, but I ended up waiting in line, and then I ended up just sitting, and then I was like, okay, I'm already in the ride, I can't get out now, so that's how I ended up like getting myself to do it. I was pretty nonchalant about it the whole time, to be honest. Like, I'm like, obviously, yeah, these are roller coasters, I'm not gonna like fly out of my seat or anything, I'm just supposed to get that experience of feeling that, and so that made me kind of, I guess, less afraid, or more willing to try it. I think this was the one we ended up having to wait a while for, wasn't it?
We did, yeah. So, if you remember, Emmy, when we got
the electrodes.
We waited about there's a single rider line which was beautifully empty, and I would have done that normally, but I was like, of course you're gonna want to ride with me because it would suck for your first a ride that you're afraid of to ride with a rando. So we waited about a 40 minute wait, about a 40 to 45 minute wait. When we got to the station, I chose row 1 for you, and we waited an extra 2 trains for that. And the reason I chose row 1 is because you're afraid of that first drop, and the first drop is completely neutered in the front row because you hang so much over the first drop. It's not really ejector like it is in the back. So I think that was the right move because you're really afraid of airtime there. However, because we waited this extra 2 trains, there was downtime. We literally went and sat into the train, and then we had to get up and go back into the station because the ride went down. So one of the cars in the back... there are electrical contacts that go and press up underneath the train that basically open a relief valve to let a gas out that could let the hydraulic cylinders of the restraint release. So, but for some reason that contact wasn't occurring. So they have a manual like backpack that's like a key, and it unlocks each restraint. So the maintenance came in, they unlocked those restraints on that car, and they sent it through. And their solution was they got OxyClean out.
Yeah, they got OxyClean. I remember that. And they literally just got OxyClean and they just wiped out the contacts, the electrical contacts.
Yeah, they cleaned all the contacts out. They sent the next train into the station. Well, they sent the next train to the station, all those unlocked, so that one worked. And then they sent that train back in that was having issues, and then that worked, I guess, using OxyClean. So then they cycled it through a couple times, and then it was like, okay, well, clearly the issue's gone. And so, yeah, that was an extra, 15 minutes out on. But it was kind of fun to see it happen.
Mr. Clean is actually popping off right now. You're giving free advertisement.
Mr. Clean is a different brand, though.
Fix your electrical contacts on your
OxyClean isn't the same as Mr. Clean, though.
Wait, he's not? But they both have clean in it. Surely that has to be the same brand.
No, they're not.
Bro, whatever. I give up. No one...
Stealing Mr. Clean's thunder.
Yeah, so Emmy, if you want to jump into your experience in the front row of Goliath.
I honestly, you said it wasn't like a huge drop, but it still felt like a huge drop to me. Like I was seeing everything.
I think it wasn't.
You said it like negated a lot of the drop, but I didn't feel like that. I don't know. It still felt like I was dropping like a long time. It felt like a forever to me. Like, oh my gosh.
Actually, in terms of duration, the drop lasts longer in the front because you're slowly going over it. But I'm talking from a pure airtime intensity moment.
Airtime.
The back is significantly more intense on that first drop than the front would be.
Yeah, obviously because you get less drop time. But I don't know. I still felt like it was a really long time mentally, but it felt like forever. After the first drop, though, the rest of the ride was pretty fine. I was literally about to die during the first drop. It felt like it lasted forever, but I don't know. The rest of the ride was pretty good. I liked it. And honestly, I started getting over my fear of heights from that point on. So, I mean, After that, all the other drops and all the other rides was this is mostly fine.
Right, exactly.
I'm really glad that you would seem to be enjoying the trip, because I was a little worried when I heard you guys were taking the trip. I was like, what if Emmy just doesn't like it? That would just be so sad.
Well, I mean, at least I would have learned. I wanted to try it out, that was the entire point. Even if I didn't like it, I wanted to know, because I didn't want to just spend my entire life not knowing if I liked roller coasters. I don't know. I wanted to add more life experiences to my I guess.
So would you say, along with me, are you a Thuzy in training?
I don't think I'm a Thuzy in training, but I definitely like roller coasters a lot more than I used to. I mean, which is a low bar to clear, but I don't know. If someone invited me out to the amusement park, I would say, yeah, sure. But I'm not sure if I would just go out to the amusement park on my own now, but I wouldn't decline it now.
Right. Very rarely do you find people that go alone. I go alone maybe once or twice a year to parks. And
yeah, but you're a Thuzy, so...
Yeah, exactly. No, what I'm saying is, even most Thuzys don't go alone. It's pretty rare to find people who like it so much that go alone. It's usually considered a social experience,
yeah, that makes sense. That definitely makes sense.
Yeah. Actually, probably one of the best park days I had this year is my solo trip to Kings Island. I met so many people and had so much fun that day. That was amazing. But it's funny that you say, oh, you hope Emmy didn't have a bad experience, because we'll talk about Emmy's bad experience coming up, so...
I mean, it wasn't that bad. Okay, so...
what happened?
After I rode... No, wait.
So we went over into the lovely, now themed as the DC universe. It used to be in New Orleans. We went and rode Batman, the original B&M invert. A ride that I definitely advertised as intense, because it is.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty intense. I wasn't afraid of it though. Unlike
it's very short.
In
terms of if you're afraid of heights, it's only like I don't think.
Well, it also wasn't like very high. It's just like it doesn't. It's like around the same level. It's just like it's very intense in terms of the amount of forces you're experiencing.
Yes. So if you want to, we'll walk into that. So that ride actually. So when we got into line, I was really worried that we were waiting way over an hour because the queue was.
The line was definitely. Well, yeah, the line definitely looked really long, but like it was moving really quickly.
No, so yeah, that was different. Normally when I go, the line moves a lot slower, and I realized that there was like no one there on a Sunday with the Flash Pass. So nearly everyone, all of standby was moving through. So the queue was completely out the door. If anyone at all listening, which probably not, is familiar with Batman's queue, it has like the external like garden area. That entire garden area.
Well, you can talk a bit about
the entire underpass.
The queue area is actually really interesting, like with the theming and the way you explained it. Also, I really like the theming of the Batman queue area. I like that. It was a nice atmosphere, but the pineapple wasn't working, so it ruined it.
Yeah, we actually had to leave the park after that when the pineapple wasn't working.
No, so for context, the queue area, as RaceCar explained to me while we were waiting, is kind of like the outside area is supposed to be like Gotham City and like its appearances, and it's like supposed to be all nice. It's like a garden area, and there's this fountain with a pineapple that was supposed to be spitting out water, except it wasn't working. So we joked that like the pineapple not working ruined our experience. I was like, no, the pineapple's not working. Okay, we gotta go home now. Park experience ruined. But the inside of so after you go through the first waiting area, there's like this wall, which is just kind of just a facade. It's just kind of like a small piece of metal. And then on the inside, it's like all dark and gritty and whatnot. And there's this police car that crashed into this fire hydrant.
It's the underbelly of Gotham City. It's it's when you go behind the facade of Gotham City that what the true heart of the city is, right?
Yeah, and then you walk into a tunnel and you go into like the Batcave. I thought that was really cool, personally.
Yeah,
like unlike the other attractions, it wasn't just like a wait. Apparently it was supposed to be like more like Disney's like queues where it's like more themed and like kind of or what?
Yeah, no, go on.
Well, yeah, but it also kind of like hides some of the queuing areas, so you're not always seeing the entire queue area at the same time. I thought that was like another thing that Disney's queues tend to do to make it so like if you can't really like think too much about the waiting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what was unique about Batman at the time, and I won't even get from the coaster technology perspective, because that was a very important coaster technology-wise, but from the theming perspective, it was, they addressed kind of like almost the opposite of like what Disney was doing. Not the opposite, sort of the same with queue-wise, but essentially they realized like with a coaster or a fast coaster, it's impossible to tell a story. So they said, we're not even going to try, and we're going to invest all of our time like with theming the queue, which is something that a lot of parks have followed suit with since. And so, yeah, so the idea kind of was to not worry too much about what the ride looks like from the outside or what you're seeing when you ride the ride, just like having a sort of story just told exclusively in the queue. It's a lot more, because then, I mean, the queue is smaller in size than the actual coaster, so it's cheaper to theme. You're going to experience more out of it if you're walking through it longer. Not to say that's amazing. One thing that really sucks about Batman's queue, from a theming perspective, is that like main outside Gotham City area, because all of the foliage, every single time you see it, is always smashed in by people walking over all the stuff. So like,
it's supposed to be well maintained.
It is disgusting. It looks pretty bad. It looks rough on the outside, even though it's not supposed to. So, yeah,
it's that Gotham roughness already. This is already nice for Gotham.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so we went in and we rode it, and it was really intense. But actually, I really enjoyed it while I was riding it. Like, I think a large part of that was I didn't actually get to see anything because we rode in the back. So I just got to feel and experience it without actually having to see myself being flown around. I think like not needing to see anything made me less stressed out about the whole thing. But afterwards, I got really nauseous. I had to I was down for I think over half an hour.
Yeah, it's about half an hour to an hour. I guess, we'll briefly just go through Batman again. We sat in the back, and from my perspective, the two rides that we had in Goliath, at least the two rides I had in Goliath, were not quite as powerful as I remember. It felt like the ride was running really slow. Batman was just as intense as I remember. That ride really, it is a show of power. It's fantastic. All the Batman clothes are that. And by the way, remember how I specified, like, people at other Six Flags parks? Most Six Flags parks have a Batman clone, by the way, so people might actually know what we're talking about. But yeah, it is a truly powerful ride. It shocks me. It's like I'm almost like out of breath at the end of the experience because it's so relentless. It's such a great ride. But yeah, we'll go into that. So you're sick, and we go to this like little lodge restaurant, and I get a bratwurst, and you listen to OST.
It was like Oktoberfest themed, I think.
Well, it was Oktoberfest on the outside, but the inside was like a lodge.
Well, yeah, but you got the bratwurst from the Oktoberfest themed outside.
Yes.
This is not important. I don't care about the bratwurst.
It was curry flavored. That was like so weird. Like, why did they have a curry flavored bratwurst? It was an abomination.
Bratwurst hater.
It was curry flavored. Come on, bratwursts aren't supposed to be curry flavored.
It's not an abomination. It tastes good.
I got the regular one.
Yeah, I know, because it's boring.
Not right away. Not boring. I went to an amusement park. I was like down.
Yeah, and you had your own OST to it.
What?
Yeah. I was like nauseous, and the restaurant had its like music, and all I could hear was the music, and I was just like, why is this music playing? It's not that great even.
It's default nauseous. Like sea shanty music. Like super like default.
Dude, sea shanty is hype. We love sea shanties out here.
Yeah, but I was also nauseous, and I also get boat sick. I was like, why is this music playing?
Oh, I see.
It reminded her of being on a boat. So I started dancing to it, and
it is not. RaceCar was bopping his head, and I was just like, please stop doing that. It just feels like we're on a boat now. I'm like, my head is like spinning. It feels like we're on a boat. Please stop. And I was like that for a while. Eventually, I got to the point of being able to walk. But at that point, I was still pretty nauseous, and I had to sit down again on a bench. I just could not move. And I eventually made my way to the bathroom, and I threw up a couple times just because I was just so nauseous.
That's sad. I'm sorry.
I ended up... No, it's fine. But I ended up feeling better after that, because throwing up actually helps you feel better when you're nauseous. So I ended up feeling better after that, but I was also hungry because I just literally threw up. So I was just like, you know what? I'd actually earlier, while RaceCar got the bratwurst, I was like, I don't feel like paying $10 for a bratwurst. And then after that, I was kind of hungry. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get a bratwurst, RaceCar.
That $10 bratwurst kind of sound nice.
It was a pretty big
the regular one, not the curry one.
Size.
It was a pretty big bratwurst, actually. I think it was actually a decent for the value. But I ended up eating that, and we ended up moving on to the next ride. After eating it, I was slowly being able to walk again. I was concerned about whether or not I'd be able to hold down the bratwurst, but I ended up being able to hold it down, and I was feeling like 80% better by then, but I was still kind of nauseous, so I was like taking it slow. And after that, I think RaceCar went on to like some indoor coaster on his own because I was still not feeling totally up for it.
So you're the first person I've ever been with that like has ever legitimately thrown up. So for instance, my girlfriend has motion sickness. She throws up in the car if she hasn't eaten and she drives somewhere. One of my best friends has motion sickness. Usually like just taking Dramamine like has worked for them wonders. Like they've never had a single issue. I can't imagine
what it would have been like if I didn't take Dramamine. By the way, I finally did look at the dosage. I went onto Amazon, which is where I bought it, to look at the dosage. It says 1 to 2 tablets daily. So, I mean, I guess I could have taken 2. I probably should have for the extra strength, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's also weird how quickly it wore off on you. We weren't we're only like 4 hours into the park day by the time that we were at Batman. But yeah, just for the viewers listening, it truly is actually a pretty rarity for people to get that sick after riding rides. I mean,
it's possible that it didn't wear out and it was still working. I probably just would have gotten more sick if I didn't take it.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe it was, I mean, like I said, Batman is a legitimately intense ride, so, I mean, the other rides didn't really quite get you so sick. Especially because, like, most people think, hey, I've explained this before. I explained this to you, Emmy, when we were at the park. A lot of people I talk to are like, oh, man, I don't think I'd ever ride a roller coaster. It makes me so sick. And I talk about, hey, what have you been on before? And they'll be like, oh, I went to the fair and I rode the Gravitron. Or, oh, I went to the fair and I rode, like, the Tornado or whatever. Like, a really intense spinning ride. roller coasters aren't spinning. You're essentially traveling in what is essentially like a straight direction with slight banking.
You don't actually spin that many times. You're not
right.
You're not like the number of turns that you have are like you can count them on your hands.
Well, it's not even like a turn thing. It's mostly that it's way more drawn out. You're not rotating about. If you think about yourself from an axis and you start rotating, like just spinning, like while standing.
Yeah, you're not.
That's what gets you
There's
sick.
not that much rotation in it either.
Yeah.
Like you can count the number of times you rotate, and it's like pretty like slow. It's not like a lot.
Well, I mean, your body isn't physically like rotating at where you are when you spin, right? It's not.
Yeah, it's like a screw motion.
So it's like traveling straight, like on a bike, right? It's like if you got sick from riding a bike, then if you like sort of similar.
Well, if you got sick from like turning on a bike.
Yeah, like it's like turning on a bike, you know.
I mean, there's some inversions. Those are like screw motions. Like those are probably the parts you're most likely to get sick. Cough, cough, Batman. Yeah.
Batman just hates you. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, Batman hates me. I should never be in the same room as Batman. Because Batman
must have thought you were the Jonkler.
The Jonkler's next door. Yeah, but 2 more notable things happened with our perk trip.
No, I saw the Jonkler and I was just like, after Batman,
Jonkler.
I don't want to. I did not want to see the Jonkler.
Jonkler's bad. Batman did though. Like actually has legs, so it's fine.
Wait, you don't like the Jonkler?
Whatever. Anyways.
I'm just laughing at the word Jonkler.
I like the one at Discover Kingdom because it's an RMC. It's very good.
I'm just laughing at the word Jonkler.
All right, you want to talk about the ride you rode alone?
It's called Batman: The Dark Knight. It's basically the second or Gotham City Escape. I don't remember. Anyways,
but you said you found like a
there's a
not
coaster
well-known
enthusiasts
entrance.
have a name for it. It's called Mouse in a Box because it's a wild mouse in a box because it's indoors. And yes, I did find this. My last trip to Great America, when I went with my theme park club, we were exiting Batman, and someone like looked over the side and they noticed a single rider sign on like the side of the box. Right, it's like hidden. It's completely hidden. There is a single rider line for this wild mouse, which typically gets really long lines because it's really low capacity, and there's no one that knows about it. So you can get on almost right away. It's amazing. It's top hack if you want to ride it, but it's not.
Well, yeah,
it's not
right by the exit.
It's fun.
Dude, it's
Coaster
so
hacks,
weird.
yo.
It's
When's
like
the
by
top
the
10
exit to
coaster
another
hack
ride.
video coming out?
Oh man, I don't know. I don't really have a lot of coaster hacks
Top
outside
10
of that.
coaster hacks. Number 1, unbuckle your seatbelt.
Yeah, number 1. Actually, yeah, unbuckle your seatbelt or loosen your seatbelt on Cornball Express so you can get standing airtime. Anyways.
All right.
No. So, Emmy, talk about what we
Last
saw.
ride.
We went over to ride the train. No, before the last ride.
Oh yeah, we went over to ride the train, but the train was closed. So RaceCar suggested, since I was still feeling kind of sick, we should ride the train and then go to the last ride of the day, Raging Bull. But we went over to where the train was supposed to be, and it was closed. And turns out it was closed because there was an event that was going to happen, which is Halloween themed, Spooktober
Whoa! That sounds hype. Tell me about that.
Basically, there was this huge performance, and it's like when the park kind of has its own different theming at night during Spooktober. And
I think Cedar
there's
Point
these
has that
like
too.
Fright Fest. It's what it's called.
Yeah, Fright Fest. Basically, there's these people that like there's these I guess like undead that like are around the park and they like scare you.
Actors.
They're supposed to scare you. Yeah, they're scare actors. And
Wait, that
they're
sounds so
supposed to come
cool.
out during like this performance where like pretty much the dead come back and like there's this huge performance and it's like very dubstep-y, which was kind of loud and I didn't really like that because I was still kind of nauseous. But it was a really nice performance. And they kind of just started marching out and there's this huge parade. And then after that, the park kind of switched into like kind of night mode.
Yep, it's called the Call of the Dead, and it happens every night to start the night of Fright Fest. So essentially, Satan walks on stage, or someone who kind of looks like Satan. And,
Satan?
Yeah.
Well, we can just call him Satan. He's a Satan.
He's a horned guy, a huge horned guy in a cloak, right? So
like he's a huge horned guy in a cloak who's like brings back the dead.
Yeah,
and, like,
so he's
is the
talking about
leader
how
of the
like
undead.
he's gonna the dead's coming back and he's gonna pretty much kill or destroy all the souls in the park. And all of a
I'm
sudden,
actually so jealous. That sounds so
these
hype.
police storm and like raid the event. It's like, we got you surrounded. And, like, there's people up on the roofs in the area.
Well, there was one person up on the roof.
Yeah, well, there should have been multiple. There actually were, like, I looked on another roof and there was someone else. Either way.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we have you surrounded, and there was like people on the roof. And then they're like, and the horned guy goes like, actually no, we have you surrounded, and there's like more guys behind the guys on the roof.
Yeah, and then they
funny.
basically like killed them, and they had like a bunch of fake blood. It was actually kind of interesting. They it's like dyed water, obviously, but they a ton of it. They then had this big fight scene where it's all this like, as they were fighting on the stage, like each hit was like big packets exploding of like dyed water. It was like if you were near the front, you'd get wet. Like you actually legitimately would get wet. Like when they were like spilling the blood, it was going over onto.
I'm not sure if they were police, but like whoever were like fighting the zombos, like they like looked like they were winning for a bit, and then like
the zombos
they were zombos.
Undead.
Yeah, so they didn't really die, and so they just came back and they like turned them all into zombies.
Yeah.
That sounds
and
hype,
then they
actually.
had a parade that releases all the people into the area. So all the scare actors walk out of this big shed. And then essentially, I know that, I guess you're not super familiar with it, Zeez, but at most parks, this is really common. At Cedar Fair, Six Flags parks, all the big parks, where they have Halloween events. And scare actors are very common. What they'll do is at night, they reduce the amount of lighting, and they fill the...
No, I know.
Flags,
I experienced this at Cedar Point before.
Yeah, so Six Flags fills the park with smoke, and Six Flags does it better than Cedar Fair because their scare actors actually try to scare you. At Cedar Fair parks, they just walk around and just like look at you. At Six Flags, they'll actually like snarl or yell at you. Like they'll actually like come up to you. They won't touch you,
awesome.
obviously, but they're a lot more like they can be more aggressive with it, and I think that makes it so much better.
No, that actually sounds so awesome. It's weird that like that's like the most part about this trip that I'm most jealous about is like the spooky part.
Yeah,
it just sounds so cool.
Yeah, we had to leave a bit early, but they divide a couple sections of the park into like mazes that you have to go through, or like scare areas that you have to go through to get to certain areas of the park. So the park has like bridges, and each bridge turns into its own like scare area.
I remember
that's so cool.
Yeah, so you like when it gets really tight, they fill that area with smoke and like boxes that you can't see around the corners, and scare actors will be more congested in there, and they will get you as you walk around the park. So you have to go through there. So it's all like, oh gosh, right?
Yeah.
And then Emmy, talk about our last ride.
Okay, yeah. So the last ride, the line was kind of long actually. This last ride was Raging Bull, but according to RaceCar, the ride ops for this ride are really good. So
very, very good.
The line. They were actually insane how fast the line moved, because we didn't have to wait more than like 15 minutes, even though the line was like so long.
Oh, it was a huge line. We ate through it though like a snake. It was awesome.
Yeah. So we actually, we only ended up waiting 15 minutes, and we went onto the ride, which was good because my flight was like pretty soon at that point. It was like a few hours away, and so we wanted to get through this one, or it was like a few hours away. It was a few hours away, and it was going to take a bit to drive to the airport. So at that point, we went onto the ride, and it was like it was actually, according to RaceCar, it was like a larger drop than Goliath, but I didn't really feel it that way. So we hopped in. It was like all really fast to get us set up. They just hopped it. It took literally less than like 5 seconds to get everyone unready, or like maybe less than 10, but it was like really fast. And then like we just hopped off. It was like a multi-part ride, which was interesting. It wasn't like the other rides. Like according to RaceCar, this one could have like 3 different cars out. So there was like a relay system that was like signaling to when carts could like continue onto the track at certain points, which was really interesting. But he kind of went. It was like a nice drop. There was like, honestly, I really liked Raging Bull. It was probably like my second favorite after Batman, even though Batman gave me nausea.
I love that Batman made you sick, but you still loved it.
I mean, I liked it at the moment. Like, I didn't like the nausea. I can separate those two out. I like the experience of Batman. If I could experience Batman without the nausea, that would be great.
Like how I experienced Batman?
Yeah, if I could experience Batman like RaceCar experienced Batman. But, I don't know. I found Raging Bull probably pretty memorable, too, next to Batman. It's probably one of the more memorable. It was the second most memorable one.
Which one was your favorite?
I don't really have a whole lot to say on that. I probably like Raging Bull the most, mostly because it didn't give me nausea. Batman gets like nausea deductions.
No, it was a night ride, so I enjoyed it. There was a lot of hype leading up to it because...
Oh yeah, I got to see the park at night. That was fun.
It's the ride I look forward to the most when I go to Six Flags Great America. It's I really enjoyed that ride in Raging Bull. You can only ride the back seat. I kind of talked to Emmy about this, but there's really unique profiling that exists only because of it was a prototype of the model that it was from. And the older style B&M coasters have this whole chain disengage section with a brake at the top. So it actually builds up extra momentum before the first drop. And there's a really aggressive kink at the profiling at the end of that pre-drop. So if you're in the back seat, it gives a really strong pop of airtime to start off that first drop. It's amazing in the back row, fantastic. And then what I like the most about it compared to all the other rides, in my opinion, is that it just has the track length to match it. It's about a mile long in track length, I believe, about 5,000-ish feet of track or more. It's very, very long, full ride. From first drop to break run.
A very chunky ride. It was really good to bite into, compared to a lot of the shorter rides, which I didn't really feel had enough content. You mentioned that about
Goliath,
Goliath and some of the other ones. Goliath was actually really short. I was afraid of it, but it was kind of like a nothing burger, honestly, because it was so short.
I don't think it's a nothing burger. I think there's lots of.
Well, not a nothing burger, but it was pretty short.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yep, afterwards, Joe took you to the airport, and, though I've never driven, I guess, through... I've gone to O'Hare many a times, but I've never driven through the departures area of O'Hare. And that was absolute hell on earth, Zeez. That was one of the most hardest. That was very stressful driving.
I told you O'Hare was going to be busy. You're like, no, it's not going to be that busy. And I'm it's O'Hare. It's an international airport.
I've been there before. It's a nightmare, and I wasn't even the one driving. I was just witnessing it.
It doesn't matter.
No, it's a nightmare. That's for sure. It's the one of the things where I'm just I'm so glad I'm not the one driving right now, kind of thing. Where I'm just oh boy, this would make me actually have a panic attack or something.
Yeah, it took about
thank you so much for driving out of there. Honestly, the TSA line was so long. I had pre-check, but where you can get through faster.
It's the fast pass.
Apparently wasn't. It was the fast pass for the airport, but apparently I got the ticket before I got my pre-check signed up. So it never got onto my ticket, and it has to say pre-check on your ticket for you to get it, so I ended up having to wait in the normal line, which was awful, because I, barely got to get any food. I barely got to get to the food right before my flight was... I was, literally stuffing it into my mouth as the flight was getting off.
Sad. No food moment.
No food. I did get it. I mean, just had to stuff it into my mouth.
Got a nice food moment, I guess.
Yeah, literal fast food moment. And that was my experience with race car at Six Flags. Overall positive experience. I really liked it.
I'm actually really happy that you had a good time. I was slightly concerned. Yeah, except for the overall an overall positive time, I guess.
Yeah, I look back positively on it.
Yeah.
I remember falling asleep on the plane. I was thinking, wow, this week has been so packed for me. I was honestly, that day at the amusement park, like I said, it just felt like forever because I experienced so many new things.
Oh yeah, especially it being your very first time as well. I imagine it'd just be extra special. But moving on, I know that was a bit of a big one with the coasters there. You have NaNoWriMo written down here, Emmy. Would you like to elaborate onto that? I know you've been talking for a while. I hope you're not exhausted.
Oh yeah,
now.
I can elaborate a bit more on that. Yeah, so as you all know, I'm a bit of a writer. I wouldn't call myself an official writer. I'm just more of a hobbyist. I barely write at all, to be honest, compared to actual pro writers who write so much. I have so much respect for them. But so NaNoWriMo's coming up, and I was contemplating whether or not I wanted to do it again.
Hold on a second. Well, explain what NaNoWriMo is first.
Okay, so NaNoWriMo is National Novel Writing Month, hence the name NaNoWriMo.
And it takes place in November.
Yeah, I said National... No. Oh, yeah. National
It's not National November, it's National Novel.
Yeah.
It takes place in November every single year. It's an annual...
I thought November was in the acronym, honestly, but I just realized it isn't.
Yeah, it's the Inktober, but for writers.
Yeah, it's Inktober for writers. Spooktober.
Month of Halloween.
So basically, I participated in it once upon a time long ago when I was in high school, back when I had a lot of free time, and so did Zeez. We talked about that on the podcast once.
We did.
Only the real Zeez podcast watchers will know about the lore. Anyways, I'm thinking about doing it again, actually, which is because I haven't done it in years, mostly just because I haven't had the time to do it. But I don't know, I kind of feel like I'm up for it again, and I'm going to try to do it again. I've had a lot of ideas, and I don't know. Feels kind of like a good way to just get started writing again, and it feels like a fun thing to do.
Yeah, if you need a second pair of eyes, I'll definitely read through some of your stuff. I'd be really interested in that.
The evolution of my stuff?
As long as it's not about crushing freaking nuts or whatever.
I took that part out! How many times do I have to tell you?
Sorry. I gotta just do it every time. You know how it is.
Actually, I added that part back in.
Until there's another meme that I could just meme on you for. That's the one I'll always remember. I'm sorry.
You guys memed so hard on that one moment. Like, it was unfair how much you memed on that.
I'm sorry. It was pretty funny though.
At least RaceCar didn't make fun of me as much for that. Though he can join in on the meme now.
I thought you never. Did you even read Emmy's book?
Yeah,
I definitely did. I remember reading the.
No, there are comments from him on it.
Okay, I didn't know if you did or not.
Like, it's in the archived file, so I never actually deleted any of the stuff that I wrote, because I still feel like there's some good stuff in some of it, so I, like, sometimes take snippets of it and put it in.
I don't think you should ever delete the stuff I think I still have a bunch of my old stories from high school, even though they're complete garbage. I mean, I also just wrote a lot of garbage because I just kind of gave up trying to write well, and I was just like, I'm just going to write funny.
I ended up writing a bit today, actually, before the podcast began. That was actually what I was doing.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I mentioned the copy and pasting some of the old stuff because I actually did that today. I took some of the old stuff that I wrote and I pasted it in and I touched it up a bit and I edited it. Like, a lot of it needs like a lot of edits, but it's getting there. I'm like around 3,000 words in right now to my first chapter. We'll see where it goes.
Solid.
I want to get like the first chapter in. What'd you say?
No, I'm just saying that's solid. I'm glad like you're actually like making an effort. I'm really interested in like seeing this now.
Well, I actually have a much better idea of what the story looks like now, too, which is really cool, because before I was just kind of wandering around, I really, like, it was kind of just, like, a very generic story, which is why with a very generic plot, and that's why I was very unhappy with it. And now I'm more, like, unhappy with, like, execution rather than, like, actual content of the story, which makes me a lot happier with where it is, which is why I wanted to participate again. I didn't want to participate in other years because I didn't really have a good idea of where the story was or what it looked like, but I don't know, this year it feels different, so I'm hoping it is.
All right then, I'll be looking forward to reading your story for sure.
Emmy,
I don't think I'll be participating in it myself, but I just don't have the time for it, but I'm very interested in seeing what you create this month.
Yeah, what's up, RaceCar?
Sorry for jumping in when you're talking, Zeez. No, do you read many books at the moment that you're kind of being inspired by?
No, I should though. A lot of my experiences right now are kind of inspired by like life or just like stuff that I come up with. But I really should read more as a writer because like I don't want to fall into like the stagnation trap where like I'm only drawing from things that already exist. I want to like, you know, kind of draw from a lot of different places, like Zeez said. So I really should read more. Why do you ask?
Oh, I just was wondering. I just didn't know if you're reading any books at the moment. That's something that, like, the whole reason why I don't think the whole reason I don't really write novels or do any writing is just because I've unfortunately fell into the trap, like many people, where I kind of stopped reading long form things, which is probably not great for our brain or stuff like that. So. I'd like to, if before I'd ever get back into writing, I feel like I need to get back into reading, you know what I mean?
That's true. I think a good way to get back into it would be just listen to audiobooks, even just getting different content.
Oh yeah, audiobooks are broken, dude. What I always do, I know this is like actually really bad for like maintaining the information because it's just, it's the content, it's the grind brain, but I just put the audiobook at ×2 speed sometimes. It just gets done a lot faster. You definitely shouldn't do that, but it's what I do sometimes.
I've been listening to a lot of like video essays and podcasts recently, and that's been something that's been sort of enriching my life.
You've listened to every single episode, all 16 episodes, or sorry, 17. I forgot about 14.5. All 17 episodes of the Zeez podcast, right? Every single one.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely inspired a lot of my writing. Definitely.
Yeah. Of course, guys. You feel inspired? Glad to hear it, Emmy. Glad to hear it.
Yeah, I also do at work. That's literally all I do is I just have video essays in the background and podcasts, and that's as I'm.
I can't do that at my work. Sometimes I need to like. My work is more like sometimes requires me to need to think a bit more, so I can't always be listening.
I'm always constantly thinking. I just feel like I don't.
My work literally is thinking. So.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, not as much as you're doing.
Yeah. I mean, like, that's what PhD work is, though. Like, you have to actually read stuff and actually think about it. You can't just, like, passively absorb it. Like, when I'm just coding, sometimes I can put on podcasts, but even then, sometimes I need to think a bit more about what I'm coding. I don't always, like, know exactly about what I need to do, so I just think it's so funny
that you're... I find it so funny that what you're saying here is just like, yeah, you know, my job actually requires me to think, as if like other jobs don't require people to think at all.
No. I didn't mean it like that.
No, it's just funny. It's just funny.
No, I meant it like you make me sound so terrible.
No. I'm just
it's like those lonely professions that like they don't have to think at their job.
No, it's just because the way you worded it was like, yeah, I actually have to think of my job, and it's just like, you know.
I meant like my job is thinking, not like I have to think about my job.
I'm just memeing.
My job literally just is thinking.
I'm just memeing. It was funny.
That was good though. That was good. All right. Well, I don't have much more to say on that. I will say today's the first time in a long while I wasn't super happy about what I wrote, which is not always great because I want to like what I write because I always get very demotivated when I don't like what I write, but sometimes I'm just overly critical and I look back on it, or sometimes it's just like my mood is affecting what I'm writing, where like sometimes I'm just like kind of bored and I'm just doing some editing passes and I'm not liking that. I don't know. We'll see where it goes.
What exactly didn't you like?
About what I wrote today?
Yeah.
It just didn't... I don't know, like the way I write is kind of interesting, like there's like apparently, so in the writing circles, there's a couple different kinds of writers. There's like, they call them pantsers and plotters. So pantsers like write on the seat of their pants. They don't plan anything. They just write and whatever comes to them just kind of flows.
I'm a pantser then.
Yeah. And then there's the plotters who like plot everything out and they have to plan every single detail. I feel like I'm definitely more of a plotter, but not in the traditional sense, because a lot of plotters like to like write stuff out and outline and whatnot. And a lot of writers tend to have like these notebooks that they write their ideas in. And I always hated that. I've always tried to write my ideas down in notebooks, but I always hated it because I felt like a lot of the time when I was writing my ideas down onto notebooks, I'd be spending more time writing my ideas down than like actually thinking about new ideas. So I ended up just being like, this is so inefficient. I'm just going to like just think about my ideas and get better at remembering them and recalling them. And so nowadays, I just like, whenever I need to think about what I'm writing, I just think about it, I guess. And I've gotten really good at imagining like what I need to write. And so there's usually like certain like moods that like I feel like for certain scenes, like when I'm coming up with them, it's like, all right, I want this scene that I'm coming up with kind of feels like this. And then when I actually try to write it out, like it doesn't always come out that way, where like when I read it, what I wrote, it doesn't feel the way I imagined feeling it. And I'm just like, okay, that doesn't match. This just feels wrong now because like, it's like you imagined like this excellent plan and then it like things don't go according to plan and you're just unhappy because it looks kind of ugly now. Or I don't know,
dude,
like, are you imagining
like the same thing?
Like a nice artwork, and then it's like ugly.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's like you could see a picture in your head of like an artwork, but then you like try and draw it, it's just like, oh, this is hideous.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's like. But it's like with the mood instead. Like it's like what you're feeling, and it's like with writing, you're trying to like take a person from like destination A to destination B, and like there's all these like series of feelings that you feel along the way. But then, like, all of a sudden, like, one of the feelings feels out of place or it, like, doesn't feel right. And I'm like, no, this is not the emotional journey that I wanted to take you on. This just feels stupid now. Like the Seeds moment.
Yeah, the scenes. I think it's funny that you just like bring that up because like the style that I would write in because I find myself more of as like liking comedy writing or whatever. So I would just be like forcing the reader to feel something. So I'd be like, everybody is sad. The rain is falling and they are all crying. Everybody should be sad at this point in time. Like it just be so like funny. Straight up, just be like, this is how everybody's feeling. This is how
you're supposed to feel sad. Like, be sad.
Exactly. It's like one of the, it's like you held up one of those signs. It's like, please clap.
Yeah,
no, that's literally what it would be. That's like the kind of writing that mine would be. Just like I just force everybody to feel a certain way. It's like this action scene was so intense. Everybody was going crazy. It was so awesome. Everybody's blood was pumping. They were fighting, and it was so epic. Everybody was cheering. And it's just like I just like use the most like simplest, but also like just forcing the reader to feel a certain way. Like, I just find that to be really funny. That's a lot of one of my stories where it was just like either random garbage or just like forcing somebody to feel a certain way by literally spelling it out in front of them, giving no like room to read between the lines, just straight up being like, everybody is sad. You should be sad too right now.
Do you ever think you'll participate again in NaNoWriMo or get back into writing?
My time is not great, but I would absolutely love to.
You're free to join me this November.
If I have like a few scraps of time, you know, maybe I'll make like a short story. You know, I won't do like a national novel, but I could do like a short story, right? Maybe like, you know, 8 to 10 pages or something. It would probably be something really stupid, like Kevin lost his wallet at Walmart and then goes on a space adventure to get his wallet back or something. I don't know. That's just the first thing that came to my mind.
I always loved your stories because they're always so like creative.
Yeah, where I look at the room around me and I'd be like, all right, there's a television in my room. Let's add that to the story.
Like, but I'm not looking at the room around you, so I didn't get that. I mean, to you, it probably seems so obvious.
I'd just be like, all right, what's something in my room right now? The microphone. Kevin saw a microphone at the Walmart. He took out the microphone and he used the fuzzy part and put it over his eyes to shield himself from the evilness around him inside the Walmart.
The evilness around him.
He used the TV and he threw it at all the freaking coworkers and started screaming, "Where my wallet, bro? Where my wallet?" He then used the camera and all the TVs on the wall, all the TVs on like the Walmart, you know, when there's like a bunch of TVs. He went to the camera and was like, "Where my wallet at?"
I'm hooked. I'm on the edge of my seat.
Right now.
Yeah, no, hold on. I'm not ready yet.
Oh my god,
bro.
Where did his
and then there was
go?
since you know, because he was actually streaming, because the camera was actually like a stream. So the aliens caught on. We're like, oh no, this guy's looking for the wallet. We gotta get the heck out of here. Anyway, that's where it would go.
I feel like you should definitely try writing. It might help you with like your videos where you like do more like. Sorry.
You're right. That's a fair point. Again, I might give a short story a try or something. I am working on a short story right now for the Halloween arc though. But that's not a story. It's a video story.
So is the wallet like his wallet, or is the wallet like a symbol for like catching on to like the Matrix, you know? Like the aliens realized that he was catching on, or like that he was looking for the wallet. So is that sort of like a code word where he's kind of waking up, you know?
Yeah, you know, that's a really good plot thread, but no, I just think he wants to buy like some muffins and he doesn't want to rob the place, so he'll do everything in his power to get the wallet back, aka destroy everything in his path, just so he can legally pay for the muffins. So it's like, it's completely counterintuitive. That's the way my characters work.
If his morality comes from trying to uphold law, vandalism and destroying other property is against the law, right? Unless he pays for it.
RaceCar the analyst is on it. RaceCar the analyst.
Right. Yeah, exactly. He's analyzing. But see, the thing is, my characters they don't have any structure, and they constantly are hypocritical and counterintuitive. Where they'll have like one moral value
funny.
That doesn't coincide with anything else. Like they'll destroy towns just to get their wallet back, but we want to legally pay for like a muffin.
Well, no, that's what makes them so funny. It like makes them so satirical, I think. That's like part of the funny part.
I think it speaks volumes about Kevin's character that, you know, the idea of the muffin as this sort of innocent object is is
freshly
something
baked
that,
muffin.
right, that he needs to remain within the law in.
Everyone watching the Zeez podcast for now, submit your analysis of Zeez's short story about Kevin in the ZBEG Reddit right now.
Oh yeah, the Reddit.
We'll read them out next time if you submit an analysis of Kevin's story and journey. From what you heard.
Should we actually jump into the Reddit, or
Yeah, we should.
Talk about
we said we would do that.
Oh yeah, I did have cat sitting written down. That's right. Yeah, I could quickly go over that. So, if you've seen my video on my cat, like the 100 days little vlog thing that I had about my cat, she's a very shy cat. Doesn't really like being touched or held. But my little sister dropped off her cat the other day, and we had it for a couple days. And she just picked it up earlier today, and it was pretty cute. She was kind of small. She's around 6 months old. Her name is Cheeto, but I just called her cat number 2. And it was very funny because she is so not like our cat. Like my cat, Carol, she's very calm, very anxious, very shy. But this cat was just insane. It just constantly ran around everywhere. You could pick it up and it would just start purring. It was so friendly. They didn't like each other. The two cats didn't like each other, so we had to keep them in separate rooms.
It sounds like Max, which is RaceCar's cat, or RaceCar's parents' cat.
Yes.
But like, you could literally pick up this cat and it wouldn't care. Like what my little sister was doing, she was just like rotating it and fumbling around, like making it fly around, holding it, and it didn't care. It was just purring and having a grand old time. Whereas if you did that to my cat,
I love this
it would
cat.
actually
This cat
get like
is insane.
Right. It was like you could just like, you know, kind of I shouldn't say rough with it because it's still a kitten, but you know, you could be a little more energetic, you know, and it would be fine with it. Whereas
like
if you did that with my cat,
your cat like fits your personality so well.
Like if you mess around with my cat like that, she'd be like, "Please help, help!" She'd be like traumatized. But this other little cat did not care at all. And also, one thing that I actually was so mad about, I was editing a video. I was 20 minutes in. I forgot to hit save. It jumped on my computer and stood on the power button.
No way. That's like a comedy.
What?
It was. It was so annoying because I was literally editing and then it just said power off and I was like, that's weird. Is there like a did my computer like crash or did like the power go out but just for my computer? No, I looked down, the cat's standing on the computer on the power button. I'm like, that's it, you're getting out of here. I just like it was funny because it was hanging out in my room for most of the day and I was like, you know what, you're hanging out in the living room for the rest of the day, get out of here. It made me a little more upset than I probably should have been because it was only 20 minutes, but it's just like, you know, editing videos is a chore sometimes, and when you have to redo a whole part of it that you already finished, it's like, it can be annoying. I don't know. It was just kind of funny. Overall, that was a positive experience. She was a cute little cat, and I had a fun time. I don't know if I have any pictures of her, but if I do have a picture, I'll show it right now.
Yeah, cats are really like that a lot when they're young. That's not to say like this Cheeto cat is going to turn into your cat. It really is like what you brought up with Max. Like Max is a year old and he's getting crazy, but he's getting progressively less crazy over time.
Right? Yeah, it's because she's only 6 years old. So.
Oh yeah, that's like peak demon time.
Yeah.
They have
that's what you call your tats.
They have 2 modes when they're young. They have asleep and demon time.
That's literally what it was. It was either snoozing like a cute little baby or going insane.
Here's like a fun little cat story from when I was making the ramen with RaceCar.
Oh my god, yes.
Yeah. So the ramen actually like dried up. The broth completely dried up in the middle of the night because RaceCar's parents' stove is actually a lot stronger than mine's. And so the entire broth dried up and it was just dry in the pot with the ingredients. And it was like kind of burnt actually when I actually made it.
Oh no.
But Max like licked my face in the middle of the night and woke me up. And I was just like, oh. What?
I must check the ramen.
And I was just like, oh, I should probably check the ramen.
That's funny.
Max. And then I checked and it was like, oh no, the ramen's all dried up. Actually, Max saved the ramen.
Max the goat. Max is the goat.
Max woke you up to save the ramen. I like how like you being woke up in the middle of the night, your first instinct was to check the ramen.
The ramen.
What is the ramen doing?
Literally, that is though. Whenever I'm like making ramen, when I wake up in the middle of the night, I'm like, oh, gotta check the ramen.
Actually, that's a good question. I'm sure there's a lot of different answers. When you first wake up, you know, obviously like sometimes you're gonna be really busy, but like when you're on the days that you're like not super busy, what's the first thing that you do when you just wake up?
What's the first thing that I do? Probably
instantly, like actual first, not I went to the bathroom. What's the first thing?
On a day that I'm not doing anything, like on a weekend, I would just go on my phone and probably watch something on YouTube.
Okay. Mine's pretty similar. The very first thing I do, like almost every day, is I wake up and I check my YouTube comments to see if there's any new comments. That's usually what I do.
Oh, I don't do that. I mean, the first thing that I do nowadays is because I'm on Pokemon Sleep. I just do the Pokemon Sleep stuff.
Yeah. I haven't logged into that in so long. I'm so bad at it.
Before Pokemon Sleep, I would just kind of just cuddle my pillow in bed and be sleepy.
Oh.
I guess what I do. Actually, I guess I do this every morning. I do like a check through of the weather. So I have a series of National Weather Service links that I typically go through to like understand like the general forecast, not where I'm at, just like of the country as a whole. So National Hurricane Center, Storm Prediction Center, and they do like excessive weather, like rain outlook, excessive heat, like dry outlook or wildfire outlook. I was like, oh yeah, this is like the general weather pattern right now in the country. And then, or if like it's during the winter, so I do like educational robotics, like that's definitely like I'll jump immediately on Chief Delphi, like in the morning probably, and like look through threads as I'm getting ready. But I guess like whatever like is the most exciting thing in my head, like hobby wise, if I'm preoccupied with something, then it might be what I do instead of watching YouTube. But ideally, it would just be like opening Reddit or opening YouTube and just doing that.
Reddit.
Reddit.
Speaking
I also open Reddit.
Do we
That's
actually talk about the Reddit?
Yes, we should. We should answer some of the questions.
Now, there weren't too many questions here, but I left a post on the Reddit, and I'll probably leave like another one. I don't know, something.
Yeah, like the analysis thing.
Yeah, that's true. The Q&A, though. And we got 7 responses, and I think like 5 or 6 of them are actually like legit questions.
Start from the most upvoted.
So thank you everyone that responded to begin with, and anyone that actually like, because I know a lot of you actually did listen through, given like the more serious responses all the way to the end of the last video, and actually took the time to send us questions. So I actually really appreciate that.
Right, of course, yeah. I do appreciate everybody who's interacting with the subreddit and just like the videos and anything to do with this podcast or whatever.
Yeah. So I guess jumping into it, the most upvoted post or question was by Nightlight87. They asked...
Yeah, I believe they're actually the creator of the Reddit, actually.
They are. Do you consider this the official subreddit? And do you currently have any plans or ideas on bigger projects such as a full-on series based around original IP or existing ones? Also, watch Del Toro Quest if you want some dumb anime fun. I wouldn't know when to ask otherwise. Also, the fact that you're even on here is so surreal.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I mean, you're the one who found the Reddit race car, so I guess that's the reason why I'm even here.
Race car.
I guess there's multiple questions here. Would I consider this as the official subreddit? I don't want to be mean, but I'd probably say no because it has ZZG2 on it. If it just said r/ZZG, maybe, and also let me become a moderator. I don't know. I guess. I mean, there's no other one, so I guess it is for now, unless I change my mind and like make one. But I think for now it can be. I'm a little confused about have any plans or ideas on bigger projects such as full-on series. Like, are they talking about me creating a series, or are they talking? Okay.
Based around original IP or existing ones, I guess. Either one.
Okay, are they asking me to become like a showrunner, or are they just like asking like a YouTube series?
I'm not really. Get on that writing, Zeez. Get on that writing.
I think it's a larger like narrative YouTube series, probably.
I'm not sure. I mean, I've always had ideas of like lore and stuff to add to videos. I guess like the big thing right now is the Halloween arc that I'm kind of working on right now. But I don't want to like reveal too much of that since I think it could be a potentially interesting. I don't think many people are gonna enjoy it. Honestly, I think it's more of just like a fun thing that I'm doing, but we'll just have to see. So I can get back to you on that one. For now, maybe just check out the Halloween arc. I'm not sure. I'm a little confused about the Del Toro Quest thing as well because I've talked multiple times about Del Toro Quest in multiple different videos, and it's one of those very like kind of niche things that I really really love that nobody else even really knows exists. So I'm not really sure if you're telling me to watch the anime because of that, because I have seen it, or if you're just saying it because it's just a coincidence that you're talking about Del Toro Quest here. I'm not really sure. Either way, I have seen and read Del Toro Quest, and I'm a massive fan of the IP. I really enjoy it, and I wish more people would get into it.
I'm actually surprised that they know about Del Toro Quest, at least the anime. I actually looked it up on my anime list, and it is really actually it's really unpopular. Like, it's really rare. So
yeah,
cool.
It's very like hardly anybody like watches it. And the anime is somewhat different from the books. I do think the books are better, but I do like the character designs and the character interactions, and the anime is still just a good time. You know, again, it's just, I think it's with any series. Like, the books are always better, but, you know, the anime or any show, movie adaptation are just fun.
Can I get the next one?
Go ahead.
Yeah, this is a really serious one, Emmy, so can you please treat this with the utmost respect?
Yeah. Of course. When will Sonic Serial Review 2 come out?
Who asked?
Asked Can Still 7478.
Okay, I think I actually might know who this is. This might be Denzi, who's a moderator in my Discord server. It could be, I'm not actually sure. I don't know. I have to find one. The thing is, like, I would need another Sonic cereal to come out, and the only reason I did that video is because I found a Sonic cereal.
Better request the people who make Sonic cereal.
Yeah, it's like, you shouldn't ask me. You should ask, you know, Sega when they're releasing the next Sonic cereal. If there isn't a Sonic cereal, sure, I'll make Sonic cereal review too, but there has to be another Sonic cereal first.
You know, I think it speaks volumes of how much decay in the Sega company there is. I mean, there was such a massive success with Sonic Serial 1. They just were writing on the wall what they need to do next, and the fact they haven't just done it already just shows how little initiative they have with Sonic in general now.
You're right. Yeah, it's not like they just released a new game or anything that just came out and everybody's loving. No, absolutely not.
But yeah, they need to release the cereal first.
Well, I mean, the cereal needs to be first, obviously. Everyone's here for the cereal.
Right. All Sonic fans know the cereal is what takes priority here.
Yeah, the cereal is what's keeping the series alive, honestly.
Well, there's that answer.
The very next one comes from a very dumb penguin, 3953. They ask, when are you going to talk about Chill Bill on the main channel? Question mark. I think there's about 30 question marks, so.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. This is probably just PJ again, and I was going to say one thing. Shut up. Lily?
Yeah, PJ, we'll get back to you. I'm going to be actually forcing. I'm literally going to be potentially, if Zeez doesn't do this, I'm just telling him now. I'm just going to fully dox and destroy his life. And,
okay.
I'm basically twisting his arm to get this out, on you. I might even be doing illegal activity, man, to get this out for you, man, PJ. But I completely agree. Chill Bill needs to be on the main channel as soon as possible. It's just unacceptable that he hasn't done it at this point. Such a core character to the Zeez franchise in general, and I can't believe we even talked about it fully yet.
Yeah, you know what? You're so right. RaceCar. You know what?
The Chill Bill war starts now. ...
Oh yeah, that's the next one.
Yeah, it sure does.
By the way, RaceCar, I need to issue a correction. You said there was about 30 question marks. I actually counted the number of question marks, not manually. There's actually 84 question marks.
Wow, that's a lot of question marks.
It's a serious question. I totally understand why you emphasize it so much.
Rando Mindividuals asks, do you have any unpopular opinions for any cartoon show like the Owl House, Amphibia, etc.? And how are you today?
You can also combine that with the one below as well. There's another one that also asks how I am.
HD or whatever. I'm not sure how to pronounce that.
Asks.
How are you, Zeez? Sparkly
fine,
emoji. Rat emoji? Sparkly emoji.
Sparkling rat. To answer the question, I'm doing well. I also want to extend this to you guys. Are you guys doing well?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing well. I mean, I just got to ride a bunch of cool coasters.
Yeah, okay.
I'm taking a break today.
The rando individual said, do any of you have any popular opinions for any cartoon show?
Right, yeah.
Okay, so I've said this opinion before to you, Zeez, and it's very unpopular. You I think
I know what's coming. This is more broad, but I think I know what's coming here.
It's more broad in general, but has to do with cartoons and video games and stuff like that. I personally think that people's obsession with voice actors is pretty overrated.
I can agree.
I don't think that voice actors are truly that talented. They are talented. Some of them have very unique voices that carry over across many characters. But truly, to reflect emotion in your voice, I don't know. I listen to it. It doesn't blow me away. Meanwhile, I mean,
and I'm not totally sure about that.
With video games and animation, you have like key animators and background artists and music, composers and stuff. All these things, like, just like when you learn about the sheer like time and talent and patience it takes to do so many. I feel like the
writers
tasks.
Definitely need more.
And writers,
spotlight.
Yeah, exactly.
Like individual writers for episodes, like.
I just feel like they just shine so much more than voice actors ever do, or at least it blows my mind way more than a voice actor.
Well, it's interesting.
I think that there's a little more hype around other people than voice actors. I don't know.
That's definitely true. I think that the main reason, I think there's like two of them. I think voice actors can like really breathe life into the characters. Like, you could obviously argue like animation does it too, but like voice actors are like definitely one of the most replicatable things by other people. When you hear like, oh, hey Peter, like everybody knows that's Joe, and it's just like all your friends can do that, but not everybody can like instantly replicate art very easily. And I also think that voice actors, when it comes to marketing stuff, are the easiest people to market, because a lot of time like artists, whatever, they're not going to be like as out there, whereas voice actors are actors. They know how to act. They're usually quite personable, and I feel like they're just far more marketable. And that's probably another reason why they're a lot more out there as opposed to like an animator or something.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you say that, because I used to be involved in the My Little Pony fandom, and a lot of spotlight was actually put onto the writers, to the point where like people could actually like tell who wrote an episode just by viewing it. Like, that's how like involved people got with individual writers' writing styles. If you actually like got to it was like, oh yeah, that was an episode that was by this. That makes sense. They wrote this episode. This is totally their style. Which is interesting, because I really feel like we should definitely like put more spotlight on the writers in other shows too, because like writers definitely deserve love just as much as the voice actors do.
Of course, any part of any like creative project, like I don't think anything should have more weight, or any part of the job should have more weight than the other. Like, I think a lot of them, I do feel like obviously like animation and like the art is probably like the backbone, but
yeah,
there are a lot of
artists should get more shout outs in that sense. There's a lot of work done by those people in getting the episode right.
Of course, yeah. I think just at the end of the day, a lot of it is just the marketability. Is that the voice actors are easiest and I guess easiest and like most recognizable things to market, I suppose.
If anyone wants to learn, I guess, things outside of voice acting too, in terms of like understanding shows and cartoons, there's a couple of things. So I remember there was a YouTuber a long time ago. I don't know if he still makes content. His name was The Canapa Effect. Was making a lot of YouTube videos around the production of anime. And then another good YouTube resource is Peg Berrien's Amazing Animations series, basically, which is like a Sakuga highlight series, which goes over amazing animation in various shows, and does a breakdown from an animator's perspective on how it could have been done, and how the weight was carried. It really adds to your appreciation a lot of very subtle things and scenes that you weren't quite thinking of. And another great resource is Sakugaboro and the Sakuga blog. Amazing thing to get into and read and look at to understand things from the visual perspective of anime. So yeah, I don't know. Just things that I guess that's my controversial opinion. I guess from a series perspective, you guys have anything controversial?
I'm not sure what would be controversial in terms of either series, like they mentioned.
No, it doesn't say controversial. It just says unpopular.
Well, unpopular. So I'm not sure. I got into those pretty late.
Was his peak. I think Del Toro was his peak. If they say like Amphibian Owl House, I do think I actually said this before and people like completely bash on me. I think Big City Greens is actually better than the Owl House.
Dang, that is a good one.
I have not watched that, so I wouldn't know.
That's just my personal opinion. I do like the Owl House a lot, but Big City Greens doesn't really have like a necessary plot. I just think that the show, the writing, and the character, I shouldn't say the character, I don't know. I think I just enjoy it more than the Owl House. I don't know. It could just be a personal preference thing. I just think I enjoy it more. Amphibia still peak though.
Gotcha.
Amphibia is still my favorite show.
I actually didn't enjoy Gravity Falls as much as a lot of other people did, surprisingly enough.
That's fair. I think a lot of Gravity Falls, I think for me,
I feel like it was a good show, when I watched it, I was like, wow, this is a good show. It's just, I'm not enjoying it. It doesn't seem like it's for me. I don't know. I always make like the distinction between like good shows and shows that like I personally enjoy.
No, I think the best way to have enjoyed Gravity Falls was while it was releasing, because a lot of Gravity Falls was unraveling the mysteries, and when you binge watch Gravity Falls, you speed past all of that, right? There's secret codes hidden in every single episode, and like as a kid, I deciphered all of those things, dude. And there was so much outside information that they'd like release online. It was like playing a game. It was like almost an ARG show.
It was kind of like an ARG show, but I'm not like that into ARGs. That's probably maybe why I wasn't that into it. I was just like, I don't really care.
If you just watch the show, it's not interesting because you miss all of that, right? You miss all of that stuff. Like,
I feel like it's kind of like a very interactive thing. You have to like be there with everyone else.
It definitely was. One of the biggest things was, I think in the very, you know, like at the end of the theme song, there's like the Bill Cipher graphic or whatever.
Yeah.
One of the codes on there that people deciphered right away was like, don't trust Stan or something. And that was like one of the biggest mysteries for so long. Cause like throughout season 1, Stan is just like some random guy, right? And like, obviously in season 2, it's revealed to be like, he knows or whatever, all the stuff that's happening in Gravity Falls. He knows a lot more than he's letting on. He's collecting the books, whatever. But it was just like, as like a watcher of like season 1, what was just releasing, we were just like, whoa, what is Stan actually like? There's like the theories went crazy. It was like the perfect, I think it definitely was like, where a lot of theorists, like cartoon theorists, like all of them probably watch Gravity Falls because like that is where it probably originated from, because that was just the biggest thing to create theories on was Gravity Falls. It was, I think a lot of it was like you had to have been there, and a lot of like community moment type stuff as opposed to just binging the show.
Well, I also just kind of don't see the appeal. Like, I don't know. I was just like, Stan is bad. I was like, okay, just gonna keep watching. I don't know.
I'm just saying, no, I do, again, that's just my thing, is just like, playing along with the game or with the theories was definitely like one of the biggest draws of the show, because it was like a mystery show. At least a lot of it was. There were a lot of just iconic lines and jokes that people would just reference all the time as well. But yeah, I guess those are our unpopular opinions on shows and whatnot.
All right. I guess to move on to our last question here by Dulce Dragonessa. Have you ever seen? This is one that me and Emmy are going to can talk a lot about. I know you probably can't, Zeez. We both have a lot of things to say about this. Have you ever seen Made in Abyss? I just watched it, and I think my heart has exploded and shattered into a billion bits about 13 times now. It's got the same cutesy vibe as Madoka Magica, but somehow worse. It's awful, but it's literally so well made. I watched it all.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll quickly.
Oh no.
Well, hold on. Let me start first because I haven't seen it first. I haven't seen Made in Abyss. I've known you guys have talked about it before. All I know is there's about a hole where there's like treasures and stuff.
There's treasures. There's treasure.
Really, I don't remember. You guys talked about it one time with me. It was like a year and a half ago.
Yeah, pretty much.
Not really sure that's
there's also like a robot.
That's pretty good summary.
There's also a robot kid, and that's all about I remember. But I have seen the art style before. And I kind of know why you would like compare it to Madoka Magic. I have seen that. I actually watched it with Emmy. She was the one who got me into the show. But you guys can take the floor. I just want to like get my part of the way.
I'm gonna let RaceCar go first. I'm gonna let RaceCar go first because I've seen both, and Zeez knows that I'm a huge fan of Madoka Magica. So
yeah, I've also seen both, and I would say that comparison is fair. I don't know if Emmy agrees because she was like
I do not.
sighing,
No.
but I totally agree. I mean. Yes, the whole marketing was the fact that they were subverting expectations. I would say that Made in Abyss was a little bit more apparent with it. I mean, in the first episode, like people did get like you saw like a dead body by like episode 2, I believe. But yeah, no. So context, like my experience of viewing Made in Abyss, it was summer of 2016, I believe, when it aired. So I was just like pretty fresh into anime. I was really obsessed with it at the time, back in high school, and I remember watching the first episode, and even to this day, I listen to the OST pretty frequently. It is such incredible soundtrack and such incredible background art. I just remember like the first scene when they play Underground River, they find Reg and they pull him out of the abyss, and it's like that collage of like how they hoist and rig him up, and them getting sick because of the cursed one effect, and then him bringing them into like the town.
Spoiler. I'm joking.
And the first couple minutes. No. I was like, oh my gosh, this is peak cinema. Like, this is so well made. Like, oh my goodness. That whole first episode is just incredible. How much it builds up the abyss. Like, kind of like from like a child like curiosity perspective.
The characters aren't they like 10 years old or something? They're like really young. I've seen like the posters.
It's not 10 years old, but he kind of acts like it.
Yeah, well, his
they look like children.
His memory and personality, I guess, get reset. In fairness, I think Rico's 12. 12 or 13.
Rico's 12, but I think
12 or 13.
Greg has kind of like the maturity of like a 12-year-old, I would say, even though he's like a robot.
Bot.
Yeah.
Well, a robot to an extent, but he's also like partly biological.
Partly.
He is.
Spoilers.
I mean, it's not even spoilers. You can tell he is flesh.
Yeah, that's true.
They talk about it in the first episode. They're expecting him. I would say, like, in terms of spoilers, though, in terms of content warning, yes, Main Abyss is really freaking, it gets very dark. There's a lot of very, even, like, from anime standards, even from, like, anime standards, not cartoon standards, it's dark, it has kind of messed up themes. It almost makes it hard to recommend because of certain themes that the author likes. So just bear in mind that there are some, like, tougher themes when getting to the show, if that's sort of something that triggers you. But overall, though,
it's gruesome. I think it's grotesque. Made in Abyss is grotesque.
I think from from a world building perspective, all the way up to like through the most recent season of season 2, and movie 3 and season 2, and it never loses its like pace of like wonder and how like weird it builds out that world. Like the Abyss gets weirder and weirder the further you go down. And the whole idea of the curse, as it gets worse the further you go down to the point where you can't return, like it's the forever adventure, like you're like dedicating it like to the continued human knowledge of it.
I think isn't like one of the rules like when you go down you can't go back up.
So it depends what layer you're at. Each layer gets worse and worse. So like I said with layer 1, they just kind of get nauseous and throw up and they have like a headache. Layer 2,
they get super nauseous.
Yeah, layer 2 you get really nauseous and your nose starts bleeding and like you have you get like a fever, right? And you'll like be like bedridden. Layer 3, like it's basically like you're guaranteed bedridden. Some organs might fail.
You get hallucinations in layer 3.
Yeah, hallucination. I don't know. There's a whole breakdown to it. They explain it through the world building. But layer 4 is when you actually have organs start failing. Yeah, layer 5 is...
Layer 4, you start bleeding everywhere.
Yeah. Essentially gets down to layer 5 and 6 where you'll just lose your sense, like you'll turn into a creature, you'll lose your humanity, and essentially you'll die. So yeah.
Well, you won't die. It's kind of like a fate worse than death, but...
Yes, yeah, it is.
Why would anyone go down there then? That just sounds stupid.
Because there's artifacts, it's treasure!
So it's this whole idea for the treasure. There's actually a lot of really interesting things to say about that, that actually get kind of elaborated a little bit.
Let's go find the One Piece. Is that where the One Piece is? Are they trying to find the One Piece?
It's like the initial people that went down there were kind of like prisoners, or they were like kind of like they were like excommunicated, like weirdos of society and stuff like that. That kind of were attracted for the original expedition, and the whole town of Orth is just a pretty new development. And the people that go down there are basically like scientists. They're all scientists that basically are trying.
They're like scientists or adventurers or both.
Well, they're adventurers, but. Like most
part
of them
adventurers, they're like kind of like archaeologists, sort of.
Yeah, they have like a science or academic background, so they're unique weirdos of their own, and they're trying to expand like human knowledge. So their whole goal of going down there is because they know it's so like unknown to the world, like all these things down there. So
well, a lot of these people have like kind of this itch to like adventure. They're like adventurers down to the core. Like they like want to vanquish the unknown, and it's just like. These people are doing it just because that's who they are. Yeah.
So it's this whole mystery thing, and something that was really interesting that I learned in season 2, actually like kind of looking through it. So that first group of people, they if you remember, they ran into like
Aboriginal, you mean?
Yeah, Aboriginal. Thank you. They ran into a tribe there that was that little girl that went with them. What they would do is
spoilers, getting into massive spoilers.
All right, fair enough. But like,
we're gonna stop you right there. The police are here.
When the people of Orth settled, they had no idea anyone had gone down there before, and that people had existed. So there was a world-changing event potentially, if the author's smart, between the two like travels, that like the knowledge of the first expedition was lost. So like other weird stuff like that's happening. So yeah, it's great with world building. We have a lot of thoughts on it. Emmy, go in and talk about, I guess, the comparison with Madoka Magica.
Okay, so
My brain hurt. I don't follow any of this.
I'm gonna the comparison to Madoka Magica. I think I'll explain really shortly. So I'll give you a brief synopsis without spoilers. But essentially, Made in Abyss is a extremely like gruesome anime about like its central theme and plot. It revolves around man versus nature. It's actually one of the best man versus
absolutely
things I've ever seen personally, and it's about the analyzing it a bit more. It's about the mercilessness of nature itself, and about how one develops a relationship with nature in its entirety, and how nature can can even pose as an adversary, as a friend. It's just like the environment is so rich in Made in Abyss. It feels like a person, and which is why it's so appropriate to have it be like this man versus nature conflict, where you have these adventures that are trying to conquer nature, the abyss. And so that's interesting. Of course, with nature is gruesome, nature is merciless, so the entire adventure can get somewhat gruesome. There's a lot of stuff that happens to everyone and whatnot. And I just feel like, on the surface, like, they're both shows about, like, it's kind of cutesy, as this, like, cutesy art style, sort of. And I don't really even think Made in Abyss really even tries to fool you. Like, it has, like, this cutesy art style, and I feel like that's part of its aesthetic, but, like, you already see people die. The Abyss is gruesome. They already tell you straight up in the beginning, this is, like, dangerous work. The kids aren't even allowed to go past, like, certain points, because it's, like, dangerous. Like, they already established firmly, this is a dangerous thing that you shouldn't be doing. Whereas Madoka Magica really played more into, like, the shock factor, where they didn't really tell you what was going on. We don't know what's going on. It's more like the mystery, like, what is going on? And that kind of plays into your, like, previous expectations about magical girls. Really, in this one, you don't really have a lot of expectations about the Abyss, because there's nothing else really like it in other media. There's just, like, just the Abyss, and there's, like, these adventures, supposedly. It's, like, very original. So I don't really think the comparison there really makes a lot of sense, in the sense that, like, Madoka Magica is specifically a deconstruction, where this just kind of has some cutesy art, and, like, if you, like, on the surface it looks kind of cutesy. I feel like those are, like, two different levels of, like, presentation of cutesy. Like, they look similar, but they're not. And also, Madoka Magica has totally different themes than Made in Abyss. Made in Abyss is, like, man versus nature, like I said. And it's grotesque. It's honestly, Made in Abyss is, like, grotesque even when it needs to be. It's somewhat gratuitous in that regard, but, like, that kind of just adds to the aspect. That's kind of why you watch Made in Abyss. Madoka Magica isn't grotesque. You don't watch Madoka Magica because it's grotesque. Madoka Magica is, like, dark. It's, like, emotionally dark. It's despair. It's, like, you watch Madoka Magica because it's philosophical, and it's, like, despair, it's sad, but it also makes you feel stuff, and it's just, like, Madoka Magica is, like, this huge winding diatribe by these characters and their feelings and their emotions, and Made in Abyss is very different from that, and so that's why I don't like comparing the two.
I think you brought up a good point, and I was thinking about this as you were explaining it. Yeah, Made in Abyss, unlike Madoka Magica, and I'm not trying to be like trying to undermine Madoka Magica. I think they're both great series.
No, they're great in their own ways.
But Made in Abyss isn't very edgy, despite all the really screwed up things that happen.
It isn't very edgy.
The characters don't dwell on it. They
don't dwell on it, and it usually ends fairly well. I mean, like, I've never... It can... I mean, like, stuff happens to them, but they, like, don't ever
to the main
put
characters,
it in, like...
I suppose.
To the main characters. I mean, like...
I don't know, the main characters... Two, that whole arc was a little... Wow, that was a lot.
The ending of Season 2 was a lot, but, like... like, that's not the tone the story strikes. The tone of the story is like, oh, it's hopeful, we get to keep going, and whatnot, let's not dwell on that too much, and... I mean, I think it adds to... I think it kind of makes sense since, like, they're kids, but at the same time,
if you were to ask me, I think it's all about finding the One Piece. That's all you guys are talking about. I literally can't add anything. I'm sorry. I don't know what you're talking about.
It's okay. But yeah, I mean, I mean, like, they don't... Like, RaceCar's right. They don't really dwell on it a lot. Like...
They're not like Shinji Ikari.
I mean, it's tone, right? It's all about tone and presentation. Like, the way they present the tone, it's like all this stuff happens, but it doesn't weigh down on you, because it's not, like, something that carries with you, like, a lot of the time. Like, only some of it really does. like a lot of it they seem to keep pushing past, and it's about overcoming those things. It's kind of like a bit shonen. It has like a bit of like a shonen like kind of vibe to it in that sense. Riko has often been described. I've seen someone describe
like
Riko as like a shonen anime protagonist and not a shonen anime, which is exactly the vibe I would describe the show. Honestly, like in the sense that like it's not like that, but like Madoka Magica, they're clearly not like they're like kind of like. It's more like it's a different vibe. It's like a shoujo anime, but it's not a shoujo anime, which is very different from a shonen anime, which isn't a shonen anime. It's like a different vibe.
Brain hurt. I don't know what you're talking about.
Emmy's long winding diatribe about Madoka Magica versus Maiden Abyss. But I like both of them. Don't get me wrong. I just hate it when they get confused for each other. It's just like, are you me? I'm nothing like you.
I see. Well, that's all the questions. I want to say thank you for the question. I do appreciate it, everybody. Well, we might do I don't think we'll do one for next week, but we might have some more Q&As on the Reddit. See if we can get some more awesome questions being posted. So I appreciate everybody once again for asking those questions. And do you guys have anything else that you'd like to talk about before we end off today? This I think might be our longest podcast, actually.
Yeah, I believe
depending
so.
on how much
2 hours and 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't have any other major topics. I have 2 little subtopics that we never really jumped into, but no, other than that, I'd just like to say thank you again for the questions on Reddit, and anyone else that has any sort of questions, please just either you can respond to Zeez's post or you can post on there yourself, and also if you're listening to this Nightlight, definitely reach out to Zeez or something, because I think that'd be cool if you could moderate that subreddit Zeez. And hopefully you can rename them. I don't know if you can. I don't know this about Reddit.
I don't think you can rename subreddits, but you can make another subreddit and just make this subreddit redirect to the other one, honestly.
Does that work like that?
Yeah, you can make a post. You can kill all the posts and just make a post that says new subreddit redirect or something like that. I mean, it's just a post that with a link. It's not an official redirect, but yeah. But I mean, that would be I don't know, that seems like a pretty dramatic way to end CBG2 subreddit, but who knows?
Yeah. Well, I guess that'll be it for today, everybody. Thanks so much for listening in. I feel like the latter half I couldn't really contribute much, but you know what? That's okay.
No, you contributed a lot. I mean, aside from the huge Maiden Abyss versus Madoka Magica discussion.
Well, the roller coaster one I didn't have much to say either.
Six Flags trip. That was
because I wasn't there, so
I could contribute a lot to the first half.
That's true. That's what I said. My latter half I didn't get to contribute much, but that's okay. You know what? I got to hear some interesting stories, so that's what it's all about. Anyways, thanks for watching, everybody. I do appreciate it, as always. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Ride roller coasters, please. Bye.